Hello guys, this is your friend Naruto Audio Fanfics and we are back with a new fanfic. Which is what if Naruto became a divine elemental god, ultimate angel harem Tenten Tamari, Samui, Kuratsuchi, Fu Konan, Tsunade, Part 1. And if you enjoy this fanfic then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic. Naruto was tied to a training log. His team had long left him there all alone, unable to get out of the ropes that bound him to the post after they had passed their little test to become full genin. He was thrown out of class the day the jutsu of getting out of rope was taught. He had struggled and struggled to get out of the ropes, but with no avail. He now hung his head, tired of fighting against the bonds. But he doesn't cry. No, tears had gotten him nowhere in the past, so what good would they do now? In his mind these words echoed. They abandoned me. It hurt. It hurt a lot. He thought things were going to be different when he became a ninja, but it looks like the more things change the more things stay the same. His stomach growling and grumbling for food. He still hadn't eaten at all. All day Naruto stayed there tied up. No one coming by to check on him whatsoever. So Naruto stayed there tied up alone with only his thoughts as they grew darker and more depressing as he felt all of his will to live leave him. What was the point when no one seemed to care about him? His supposed team didn't care about him at all, not even his Junin sensei. So again, what was the point on carrying on when there was no one there with him really? It wasn't till late at night when someone noticed him. The person jumped down and checked on him. He was breathing, but it was shallow and his pulse was steady as well, though growing fainter. They cut the ropes and Naruto fell to the ground, unresponsive. The person picked Naruto's limp body up and then carried him to the hospital, hoping it wasn't too late. Scene break. Hiruzen Sarutobi, the third Hokage, ran into the hospital with more energy and spirit that belied his real age. He turns to the Anbu that's standing guard at the door. Where is he, Neko? He asked in an urgent and desperate manner. He's resting, Lord Hokage, but, Neko said, trailing off at the end. But what is it, Neko? Hiruzen asked urgently. Neko shifted her stance. She was the one who found and took Naruto to the hospital and found the only doctor entrusted to care for Naruto. There was a special staff just set up for Naruto's care. The Hokage set it up, making sure that each member of the staff had an extensive background check and made sure that none of them had any hatred against Naruto due to the Kyuubi attack. The doctor told me that it seems Naruto is losing the will to live, Neko said softly. This made the old man's face pale. It just wasn't possible at all. He never thought Naruto would lose his will to live even after all the boy has gone through. He knew Naruto had gone through a lot and he knew that all of them left scars on Naruto. Most of them not physical. He didn't think it was that bad really, but it seemed it was. It was worse than he thought. Tell me everything, Neko. Don't leave a thing out, he said firmly. Neko then gave her full report and Hiruzen wasn't happy at all. Neko, I know you're tired, but I have an order for you, Hiruzen said. What is it, Lord Hokage? Neko asked, standing up straight. Get Kakashi here right now. I don't care if you have to tie him up and drag him here. I want him here now. Hiruzen barked. Neko bowed and shunshined away. It didn't take long and she returned with Kakashi, who looked perplexed and bewildered. He was in a shinobi bar with the rest of the Junin senseis having a drink and telling one another stories about their team's tests and stuff. He was then grabbed and dragged away from his fellow Junin by Neko without even seeing her at all. She had dragged Kakashi by the back of his collar all the way to the hospital, ignoring Kakashi's questions. Ah, Kakashi, Hiruzen said in a displeased fashion. What is it, Lord Hokage? Kakashi asked, standing up straight. Well, Kakashi, I thought you should know that one of your students is here in the hospital, Hiruzen said. Kakashi's eye widened. Who? He asked. Naruto, Hiruzen said. But how? I left him today and he was alright, Kakashi said. That was hours ago, Kakashi. Neko, tell him, Hiruzen said as he needed to calm himself. Neko told Kakashi about how she found Naruto tied to the same post he had tied him to during the day. Kakashi was shocked upon hearing this. He couldn't believe it. He should have been able to get out. It's an easy jutsu to do to get out of ropes. It's a jutsu taught at the academy, the one-eyed Junin said. Apparently the teachers at the academy had hindered his studies more than I thought, Hiruzen growled. I apologize Lord Hokage, I didn't know at all. If I did then I wouldn't have left him or I would have gone back to check. I didn't know, Kakashi said. You didn't know. Kakashi, you watched over the boy in your time in Anbu. You saw how he lived, what he had to put up with. You should have known his life wouldn't be easy and now he seems to have lost the will to live, Hiruzen said. Kakashi felt like he was punched in the gut. Yes, he did know about Naruto's young life. He should have done more, be more observant. This was all of his fault. He had failed. He felt horrible, more horrible than he had ever felt in his life it seemed. I am taking Naruto off your team Kakashi, Hiruzen said. But Lord Hokage, Kakashi started. No, you've shown how you treat Naruto. He's no longer under your care. If Naruto survives he will placed somewhere else. You're dismissed, Hiruzen said without any room for discussion. Kakashi slumped away and out of the hospital. Scene break. Inside Naruto's mind he stood huddled on a small patch of land surrounded by a huge dank sewer. His knees drawn up with his arms wrapped around holding them in place by his chest. His forehead resting on his knees. He was all alone, like always. He didn't even look up when hearing the echoing growls. He just didn't care anymore. Everyone would be glad he was gone, no one cared about him at all. No one. The light in the sewer seemed to grow dimmer and dimmer as Naruto's thoughts turned darker and sadder. Damn it. Damn this village to Hades and Tartarus. Look at what it's done, a deep growl said. Yes, this village has done much to this poor innocent soul. He was even rejected by those that were supposed to be called his team. The ones that could give the boy new hope. But not all is lost my Kitsune, an angelic voice said. What do you mean? The boy has no will left. I can feel his life and mine slipping away and I'm fighting for the both of us and I'm losing, the Kitsune said with frustration. Yes, but remember even in the darkness there will always be thin beam of light yearning to break free, the angelic voice said. The kid has no light. He has none, the Kitsune said. He does, he has light, but it's just a small sliver. We need to find a way to make it grow, the angelic voice said. How? The Kitsune asked. I'll have to pull a few strings and mess with fate, the angelic voice sighed. And you're upset about that? You're God for heaven's sake. You can mess with anything and anyone you like, the Kitsune said. Yes, but I'll be breaking my own laws that I've set not to interfere with the mortal realm, the angelic voice said. But this boy, you know he has a destiny that can't end now. He's far too damn important to be lost. You can say that this is an urgent need. None will argue with you on that. They all know how important the boy is, the Kitsune said. You're right Kitsune. You're right. But I must make the right changes or everything will fall to darkness which even young Naruto can't prevent, the angelic voice said. I will follow whatever you do my lady, the Kitsune said. Then let's change things Kitsune. Hopefully for the better, the angelic voice said. Scene break. In a certain part of Konoha as well as in other villages there was a glow from specific beds. All of them now had their lives, their fates changed forever. Scene break. Naruto was still huddled on his little island when he heard a voice. Hey, are you alright? Naruto didn't answer. He then felt a hand touch his shoulder gently shaking him. He slowly moved his head up and saw a girl wearing PJs with assortment of weapons on them. She had long brown hair and brown eyes that showed genuine concern. Something that was new for Naruto to see in a person. He had never seen anyone direct great concern to him. Who are you? Naruto asked in a despondent monotone voice. My name is Tenten. What's your name and where are we? The girl asked as she looked around her dark surroundings. I'm not sure where we are, but my name is Naruto, Naruto said despondently, not even caring to look around. This isn't a cool place. Tenten and Naruto turned and saw a blonde girl walking to them. She was wearing PJs in the color of dark blue also, and they didn't help to hide her nicely endowed chest. She had shoulder-length blonde hair and ice-cold blue eyes. Hi, who are you? Tenten asked. The blonde girl looked at Naruto and Tenten, eyeing them like they might be a possible threat. Seeing as they were not, she relaxed just a smidge. My name is Samui, and your names are? She asked. Tenten and Naruto gave their names and Samui walked closer to them just so she could be on dry land, which seemed to have expanded from the very small island to a little bigger one to fit the three. Though the three of them didn't seem to notice this at all. I knew I shouldn't have eaten Konkuro's cooking. Now I am having this weird dream, a dirty blonde girl said. The three on the island turned to see the new arrival. She had dirty blonde hair and teal-green eyes. Her PJs consisted of a tank top and shorts in a tan color and both made of light material. Okay, who are you guys? I've never seen you in any of my dreams before. The girl asked. I'm not sure this is a dream, but my name is Tenten, Tenten said. Naruto and Samui introduced themselves and the new girl introduced herself as Tamari. She then joined them on the patch of land that once again grew enough for her to stand there and not been cramped together with the others. So why are we here, and where is here? Tamari asked, looking around. All shall be revealed soon, just 2 more to go, a voice said. Who said that? Show yourself. Samui asked as she tried to pinpoint where the voice's origin. Tamari and Tenten followed Samui's example, trying to search for the source of the voice. Naruto though didn't seem to really care. I shall reveal myself when you're all united, but 2 must still join, and they will be here, soon, the voice said. It didn't take long for another girl to show. She looked a bit crabby. She had short dark hair and pink pupil-less eyes. Her PJs had rocks on them. Who are you and where am I? She demanded. We're not sure on the where part really, Tamari said. After they introduced themselves and found the new girl's name was Kuretsuchi. She joined them on the island, and again the island grew larger to accommodate the new addition. Next, the last girl joined them. She had long dark hair and blackish brown eyes. She asked the usual, where am I and who are you, questions, then introductions were made. The girl, whose name is Haku, joined the others on the island. Once on the island, it seemed the light in the area increased to reveal where they were. A sewer? How'd the heck we wind up in a sewer of all places? Kuretsuchi asked, shocked and a bit appalled. That's it. I'm not eating any more of Konkuro's cooking no matter what he says, Tamari groaned. This isn't a real sewer, but a mindscape, my children. It's a physical projection of a mind, the voice said. Okay. Who are you? The last 2 are here, so show yourself, Samui asked as she once again tried to pinpoint the voice. Samui wasn't the only one to try to find the origin of the voice. Kuretsuchi scanned the dank space, as did Haku, Tamari and Tenten. They all were facing outwards, keeping their backs as close as they could to one another. Naruto was the only one not being vigilant. Soon a bright light flashed upon them and they had to shield their eyes. Once the light faded, they saw what they could only describe the most beautiful woman they'd had ever seen. She had gorgeous golden-colored hair done in ringlets. Her body was perfectly proportioned, which made all the girls a bit envious. She had deep blue eyes that were like 2 flawless sapphires that twinkle like they were under display lights. Hello, my children, she said with a smile. Who are you? Naruto asked, staring at the woman with awe. Naruto. My child. You are a very special boy, the woman said, smiling at Naruto. How do you know my name? Naruto asked fearfully. I know many things. I know all of your names and what's been going on in your lives so far, the woman said. That's all good, but you haven't told us your name, Kuretsuchi said, crossing her arms. No, I haven't, the woman said, chuckling. My name, well, I wasn't really given a name and actual name like you were, but you all know me as God. This stunned the group. They were talking to God. This had to be some sort of trick, an illusion. Yeah, it had to be some creatively complex genjutsu of some kind. That are the weirdest dream any of them ever had. A few tried to dispel the genjutsu with no success. This kind of amused the great deity as she watched the girls try to dispel her. I assure you you're not dreaming or under any genjutsu whatsoever. But your lives have all been altered from the courses that I've had set for each of you, God said. What do you mean? Samui asked. I've changed the course of your lives for a simple purpose. For Naruto's benefit, God said. This had all then girls turned to Naruto for answers. Naruto cowered and returned to his huddled ball. Don't hate the boy for this. He's had more than enough share of hate in his young life, God said, reprimanding the girls. The great deity then began to explain to them all about Naruto's harsh life so far. She projected movies of Naruto's memories as visual aids like a film on a projector. Naruto felt ashamed and wanted it all to stop. He didn't want to remember all those bad memories. He didn't want anyone to see what he had been through since it was private. They were his burden and no one else's. The beatings, the dirty looks, the way he went for a days going hungry and had to scrounge around in the trash for something to eat. All of it was on display. Meanwhile, the girls just watched with tears in their eyes at how people could treat Naruto like that. She then told them about what had been sealed within Naruto. You're going to get trouble. The old man made it a law against telling anyone, Naruto said. God laughed and her laughter was like beautiful music. I don't think the Hokage has the power to punish me, young one, she said with great mirth. Oh, yeah, is there a name I can call you? It feels weird calling you God, Naruto said, rubbing the back of his head. The girls looked at Naruto with scandalized expressions. Naruto, do you know who you're talking to? Tenten hissed. I'm sorry, but it just feels weird, Naruto mumbled. It is all right, Tenten. I can see the oddity of just being called God all the time. You can all call me Sophia, the immortal being said. Okay, so Sophia. Why are we here exactly? You showed us Naruto's memories, but haven't told us the actual full reason. Kuretsuchi asked. Ah yes, for that I need to show one more memory, then I'll explain, Sophia said. The memory shown was the day of the Genin test. The girls watched the test with interest and shook their heads at Naruto's brash attitude and knew they would need to change that. It then hit them as to why it would be them to change Naruto, but putting that issue aside as they then watched Naruto get left behind by his team after the test. I can't believe they did that. Especially the Junin sensei, after going on all about teamwork and his code of, those who disobey rules are trash, but those who abandon their comrade are lower than trash. He's a hypocrite, Tenten raged. Yes, that was totally not cool, Samui said in agreement. I thought Konoha Nin were supposed to be all big on teamwork and crap. That just shows they don't listen to their own stuff, Kuretsuchi said. His team is no better. He's got a damn fangirl and that boy. I don't know, but there's something about him that rubs me the wrong way. I just don't like him, Tamari said. Both aren't worthy of being Genin. The girl is going to get killed on her first mission out of the village, and the boy. There's something dark about the boy I can't really place, Haku said. Naruto jumped up to defend Sakura. Naruto, why do you defend her? She hurts you physically and emotionally. She doesn't deserve the feelings you try and show her, Tamari said. But, Naruto muttered. She is right, Naruto. Sakura Haruno isn't worth your time. That is why I selected these girls. They are more than worth your time, and they are all strong in their own right as well as beautiful too, Sophia said. The girls blushed at being complimented by the deity. Naruto slumped to the ground. Now, to why you're here. After the despicable display by Naruto's team, he had begun to lose all hope, his will to live. That act was the final nail in the coffin. He remained tied up all day and late into the night until a ninja found him and took him to the hospital. Naruto was on the verge of falling to utter darkness and death till I decided to intervene along with a friend of mine, Sophia said. A huge cage appeared that made the girls wonder why they hadn't seen it before. In the cage was a man. He had long red hair tied in a simple ponytail, wearing a kimono with dancing foxes on it. Behind him was 9 lovely tails swaying back and forth. Hey, who are you? Naruto asked loudly. This got him bonked on the head by both Tenten and Tamari, though their hits weren't even a fourth as hard as Sakura would hit him. Ow, that hurt, Naruto whined. You don't need to shout, Naruto, Tamari chided gently. Tenten just nodded in agreement with the dirty blonde. Fine, but who's the guy? Naruto asked in a more quieter voice as he rubbed his bruised head. I'm surprised, Kit. I've been inside you practically since you've been alive, really, the man said with a smirk. You're the Kyuubi, Naruto shouted. Again he was bonked on the head by Tenten and Tamari. Use your inside voice, Naruto, Tenten said sternly. Naruto grumbled as he rubbed his head again. I see you're already teaching the kid manners. He needs them since he has none whatsoever. Though I don't really blame him since no one has ever taught him any to begin with, Kyuubi said. He was amused by the girls already trying to teach Naruto manners. I don't understand. I thought you're a bloodthirsty demon bent on utter destruction. Tenten asked. Oh, that. Well, I only get like that when I've had a bad day or too much to drink or someone really pisses me off. Normally I am very peaceful when I am left alone and all, Kyuubi said. Neither the girls or Naruto really knew what to say to this. Kitsune, I believe it's time to begin teaching them, Sophia said. As you wish, my lady, Kyuubi said, bowing to the deity. Scene break. Inside Naruto's mind, he and his girls got trained. For Naruto it was a total rebuilding. The girls, Kyuubi and Sophia, had to tear down everything Naruto knew and start from scratch. Sophia helped by producing a plant and giving the girls shears. This bush is Naruto's whole being. I gave you the shears for you to prune off all the parts he doesn't need and leave the characteristics that he should keep, Sophia said. But how will we know what to prune? Haku asked. You will know, Sophia said mysteriously. The girls all looked at one another, then shrugged, and then they gently and carefully began to work. It was amazing how coordinated they were together, even though they hadn't known each other for very long. But deep inside they just felt they had known one another for a long time. It was hard to explain. This was Sophia's doing. She jump-started the sense of camaraderie between the girls. It was just a jump start, the rest was up to them. The girls clipped off Naruto's brash nature. His stubbornness, though, kept enough so he wouldn't give up when he faced a challenge. They pruned down his hyper-personality and also love for ramen. They kept Naruto's great loyal nature, though pruned it back a little so it wouldn't hinder him. His cunning mind that he got from doing pranks as well as thinking on the fly was kept. They kept going, making sure Naruto would be better for it. Once done, the girls stepped away and the plant disappeared and Naruto, who was asleep for the whole thing, awoke. Oh, man, he grumbled. How do you feel, Naruto? Haku asked. Weird. Like I am new, though I remember how I used to be, Naruto said with a frown. That's good, now we have a clean slate to work with, Sophia said. Yes, the kid will be able to learn things better without all the baggage he's had before, the Kyuubi said. Naruto learned manners to begin with, then he went on to what was taught at the academy. Kyuubi played the role of instructor for this, and Naruto actually listened since most of his bad habits had been snipped away. Though he still got bored since he really wasn't one for lessons that involved sitting, reading and listening. He was more of a person of action. Meanwhile, Sophia had the girls get to know one another since they'd be spending a lot of time together. With that, the girls asked for some different clothes since they didn't want to just wear their PJs. Sophia told them to think what they wanted to wear and it shall be done. So each girl thought about what they wanted to wear and they were dressed in the apparel they thought of. They all chose their outfits they wore as kunoichi. I have a question, Sophia, Tenten said. What is it, Tenten? Sophia asked. Why did you pick a girl from each of the 5 major villages? Tenten asked. The other 4 girls were curious about this as well. I wanted Naruto to have a piece of each of the villages, and when I looked through each village looking for possible candidates, I found you 5 were the best in my opinion, Sophia said. But though I am from Kiri, I'm not a shinobi. I am running with Zabuza and he's a missing nin, Haku said. Your heart is pure, Haku. That's why I chose you. That's why I chose all of you. You all have pure hearts and souls. Even though a few of you have taken lives for your duty, you never taken an innocent one that would darken your soul, Sophia said. The girls nodded. But why me? Iwa and Konoha aren't friends due to the last shinobi war. Kuretsuchi asked. What a better way to bury the hatchet than to have such a union. I've heard and seen many mortals do this custom to cease feuds, Sophia said. The girls had to nodded in agreement with this. The Hyuga clan won't be pleased with this. They don't like Kumo due to what we tried to do, Samui said. Ah yes. That, Sophia said with a small frown. What do you mean? Haku asked. Samui then explained how the previous Raikage tried to kidnap the young Hyuga heiress so they could breed their own Byakugan. Haku blanched at this. There are many dirty dealings in all of the villages. I am saddened that so many souls are tainted with such darkness, Sophia said sadly. After Naruto got his education, he then began training as a shinobi in the proper way. Kyuubi taught Naruto the Kitsune-style taijutsu since it worked well for Naruto's fighting. It dealt quick hard blows and at times used sneak attacks on opponents. Naruto also learned many ninjutsu since he had the chakra reserves to do many powerful jutsu without getting worn out. Kyuubi of course had to keep warning Naruto not to overdo it. Naruto had no use for genjutsu, but Kyuubi found a way to around that. He just had Naruto become sensitive to the illusion-based jutsu so he could spot it and dispel it if needed. What also happened was a part of Naruto's brain was awakened. The part where he was talented in fuinjutsu. Now Kyuubi knew this was gift that Naruto had inherited from both of his parents. So Naruto got to work learning all the fuinjutsu he could. Sophia provided the scrolls on the topic and Naruto became quite skilled in it. He could now rival a seal master. During that time the girls were included into the training. They worked with the skills they had and expanded. Kyuubi provided an excellent source since he had been around so long he could help each girl out. Sophia also sought to expand all the girls' chakra reserves since she knew they'd need to be stronger. The girls wanted to not only get stronger for themselves, but to get stronger so they could help Naruto and each other. They didn't want to be helpless. They all cared for the blonde very much after spending so much time with him. They just couldn't help not to. And with that the girls opened up to Naruto more and more. Sophia saw this all and smiled since she knew the future was looking brighter and brighter for them all. She just hoped it was enough though. She may be the one true god, but there are wrinkles in the future that even she could never foresee. So she and the Kyuubi prepared them as much as they could. Tamari had perfected her wind jutsu. It helped that Sophia topped up Temari's affinity to wind so Tamari could do it using very little of her chakra it seemed. She used her big fan and two smaller fans that were for close combat. With that Tamari got drilled in taijutsu, which wasn't one of her strong suits. She was taught a taijutsu style she could use in conjunction with her wind chakra. She released a bit of wind chakra with every strike to deal more damage to her opponent. Tamari didn't care for genjutsu and was taught how to dispel it. Her taijutsu style she called Gale Force style. Haku's Hyoten bloodline was increased to the max by Sophia and she learned all of her family's jutsu from Kyuubi who knew many ice jutsus some that even the Yuki family didn't even know. She was also taught wind and water jutsus too. She also learned more medical jutsu by Sophia since Kyuubi wasn't one to really know that stuff. He healed himself so didn't need to know any healing jutsu. Haku also learned taijutsu, which was one of her weak points. Kyuubi found a style that would work for her. It was called the Shiva's Wrath style. Kyuubi picked it up somewhere though he wasn't sure where, but it worked for Haku. Haku's use of Senbon needles were amazing and she had great accuracy. This of course led to contest of skill with projectiles against Tenten. The matches always came out a draw. Tenten's accuracy was now amazing. She could hit a target with her eyes closed. She got a lot better with the rest of her mighty arsenal of weapons too. It helped that Kyuubi knew how to use each one and instructed her how to use each weapon to its full potential. Sophia made sure that Tenten branched out though. She told Tenten that it wouldn't do her any good to just be good in one thing and that all ninja shinobi and kunoichi were at least somewhat skilled in several areas. So Tenten worked on getting her taijutsu up to par as well as ninjutsu too. Genjutsu was difficult for her since she didn't care for it much. As for her ninjutsu, she learned she had a water affinity and was taught by Haku and Kuretsuchi as well as Kyuubi. She also got more help in her fuinjutsu since she just knew how to do storage scrolls. Samui's skill with her tanto was excellent as well as her lightning jutsu. She used them both effectively. Kyuubi and Sophia helped Samui in her training with Kyuubi giving her scrolls to work from so she could use her tanto more efficiently than before. Sophia used her vast knowledge to give Samui lightning jutsu as well as up Samui's lightning affinity to the max. Kyuubi didn't know many lightning jutsu since he preferred his fire-based ones more. Samui though needed work on her taijutsu since it was average. She wanted to get better with it since she knew that was an area where she lacked. She had little bit of genjutsu, but not a whole lot. She only used it to distract her opponent really. Kuretsuchi had some work cut out for her when they found out she had 3 nature affinities. Water, fire and earth, which Sophia up to the max. Sophia helped Kuretsuchi to combine them into lava release, a rare type to have. Kyuubi got to work in helping Kuretsuchi in her taijutsu and she excelled in that along with her ninjutsu training. Another thing they had to work on was her attitude since she could get overly and to not look down on certain shinobi because of their jobs. Curb it a bit, but otherwise she was fine the way she was. Her anger and distrust over Naruto being a leaf nin was gone and she had accepted him. All 5 girls trained and sparred against one another as well as against Naruto to get better as well as build camaraderie with one another. Kyuubi also sparred with them all to help them gauge where their level was. They got closer to each other as they worked together. What they found was that inside Naruto's mind they didn't need any sleep or food. So this increased their training many times since they didn't need their basic needs. Naruto and his girls, as he was now calling them, grew together more and more as time passed. They were now very close to each other. When they all had a break, an important question was brought up. How long have we been here? Samui asked. Good question. It feels like we've been here forever, Kuretsuchi said. Ah yes, but time is relative, Kyuubi said. What's that supposed to mean? Tamari asked. It means that in here time doesn't exist. I have stopped time for you all in here, Sophia said. But where are we exactly? You never actually told us where we are, Tenten asked. She's right. We never found out where we are, just that we're in a mindscape that looks like a sewer, Kuretsuchi said. Oh, I didn't tell you where you all are. I thought I did, Sophia said as the immortal being scratched her head. The girls and Naruto shook their heads. Very well. You're in Naruto's mind, Sophia said. What? The girls shouted. Yes, this is Naruto's mindscape, Sophia said. The girls couldn't believe this was Naruto's mindscape. They looked to the boy for an answer, but he couldn't provide any. Let me be the one to answer that since Naruto doesn't a clue, Kyuubi said. The girls turned to Kyuubi. Due to Naruto's unpleasant childhood, he never had a supply of good memories and thus his mindscape turned into a sewer to show how his life is. Remember, your mindscape can be whatever you want it to be, and since Naruto's life has been mostly crappy, it turned into a sewer, Kyuubi said. The girls nodded in understanding, then got back to training. Scene break. Once training was finished, Sophia and Kyuubi stood in front of their charges. I must say that you've done all you've been asked to do and I am very proud of all of you, Sophia said, smiling at them all. Yeah, you never backed down from anything we threw at you, Kyuubi said. Now for some final things. Naruto, we know who your parents are and now that you've been trained enough we feel that you're strong enough to know who they are, Sophia said. Naruto stiffened hearing this. He had wanted to know who his parents are, but Sophia and Kyubi never told him, telling him he wasn't ready yet. But it seemed like he was. He felt his girls gather around him, to support and comfort him. Your father was the guy who sealed me within you. Minato Namikaze, the fourth Hokage. And your mother was Kushina Uzumaki, my jailer before you, Kyubi said. Naruto was shocked. His father was the one that sealed Kyubi inside him. He was the reason that he was beaten, spat upon, never had any friend nor any good food to eat. He felt rage boil within him, but that ended quickly since he was mixed with emotions of now knowing who his parents were. And to now know that his mother held the Kyubi before him. It was all very shocking. His girls were shocked hearing all of this, but they resolved to help Naruto. Even Kuretsuchi, after finding about who Naruto's father was. She knew Naruto wasn't his father even if they looked alike, and now knowing it wasn't just an odd coincidence of some kind. But her feelings for Naruto hadn't wavered at all. This just showed how much she has grown. Now you must all return, but never fear. You shall be reunited soon, Sophia said. Soon everything turned white. It was so blinding that the six of them shielded their eyes. Scene break. Naruto awoke groggy in the morning. The first thing he noticed was all the training he had done within his mind had made it to his physical body. He was surprised by this, then he saw a note on the top of his blankets. He took it and opened it. Naruto, you are already awake by now. As you can see, your body has grown with the training you did in your mind. Think of it as a little gift from me so you don't have to work back up to the level you were at in your mind. Both you and your girls received the same gift. Don't worry about seeing them since you will be, soon. Sophia. Naruto blinked at the letter, then as soon as he finished reading it the paper dissolved into nothing. This made him sigh and wonder what he was going to do next. Soon the doctor came in to do his morning checks and was shocked to see Naruto awake, but smiled. Hello Naruto, glad to see you're up, he said, not even acting startled about Naruto's new appearance. Hey doc, when can I get out of here? Naruto asked. The doctor chuckled. He knew how much Naruto hated being in the hospital. I just have to do some checks and then I'll have Miko give you some breakfast, then you should be ready to be discharged, the doctor said. Great. I can't wait to see Miko, Naruto said with a smile. The doctor did his checks and was surprised at the results he was getting. He did them 3 times and got the same results. He needed a better medical opinion. He thanked Naruto and left. Soon after, Miko came in along with the Anbu Neko. Naruto greeted Neko and Miko happily since he remembered them both. Neko for watching over him when he was younger, and Miko, a nurse that was on staff specifically to check Naruto. Neko checked the food to make sure it wasn't poisoned. Could never be too careful. After the food passed clear, Naruto ate and chatted with Miko about what she was doing in her life. Soon Naruto finished and Miko left. Naruto Uzumaki, you're to report to the Hokage after you've been released, Neko said. Right. I'll go see the old man, Naruto said, getting up. Neko nodded and left. Naruto got changed in his orange jumpsuit, vowing to get new clothes as soon as he could. While in his head his girls drilled into him that wearing orange wasn't very ninja-like. Scene break. Hey old man, Naruto greeted. Hiruzen looked up and smiled, then he noticed the changes to Naruto's appearance. Naruto was a bit taller than he was. Now he was on equal footing with the rest of his former classmates in height. Plus there was this aura around the blonde that Hiruzen couldn't exactly place. The Naruto in front of him was still the Naruto he knew, but he felt that he was different somehow. Like he went through a rebirth of some kind. Also the fact that Naruto looked just like his father now, with bits of his mother peeking through too. Hello Naruto, I'm glad you're feeling alright, Hiruzen said, smiling. Yeah, so when can I get back to my team and start missions? Naruto asked. Ah yes, about that. I've decided to remove you from your team, Hiruzen said. Naruto was shocked. What? But what am I going to do? He asked. I did this with good reason, Naruto. Your Junin sensei is responsible for you and your teammates, and that means everything. What Kakashi did was inexcusable. He left you tied to that post without even a second thought at all, Hiruzen said firmly. But what am I going to do? I need a team, Naruto asked frowning. Lord Hokage, if I may. Neiko asked. Go ahead Neiko, Hiruzen said. Neiko appeared and stood at attention. I wish to be Naruto's instructor. I know he has much potential and wish to help him reach it, Neiko said. You do realize that if you do this Neiko, you'll be retired from Anbu, right? Hiruzen asked. I do sir. I've been mulling over retiring from Anbu anyway and this is a perfect chance, if you allow it sir, Neiko said. Very well. Remove your mask and introduce yourself to your new student, Hiruzen said. Neiko nodded and removed her mask. Naruto stared at the beautiful woman in front of him. She had brown eyes with purple hair. She smiled at Naruto. My name is Yugao Azuki, your new Junin instructor, Yugao said. Name is Naruto Uzumaki, Naruto said grinning. Naruto you may leave while I discuss with Yugao your training, Hiruzen said. Naruto nodded and left. Lord Hokage, Yugao asked. Yugao, you're taking on a big responsibility. I am very proud of you though I'll miss you as an Anbu. Please do whatever you need to do to not only keep Naruto safe, but train him to be the best shinobi he can be, Hiruzen said. I will Lord Hokage, Yugao said bowing. Before she could leave a scroll appeared on Hiruzen's desk and he picked it up and opened it read it. It seems that Naruto has had some training already and this means some changes will have to be made, he said. What do you mean sir? Yugao asked confused. Hiruzen motioned Yugao over to read the scroll. She was surprised to what she was reading. This will change a great many things. Naruto walked around the village feeling pretty good. He wanted to head to the nearest training ground to try out his new skills he now has. It was cool doing them in his mind, but to now actually have a chance to use them awake meant they were truly real. Like the old saying goes, seeing is believing. But before he could even go to a training ground he walked into his old team. What are you doing here loser? Sasuke asked coldly. Nice to see you too, Naruto said coolly. Naruto idiot watch where you're walking you nearly bumped in Sasuke. Sakura screamed. You say something. Naruto asked in Kakashi-esque style. This made Sakura angry and she went to punch Naruto, but her fist was stopped by Kakashi. Now Sakura. You can't harm a fellow Konoha shinobi outside of a sparring match unless you want to face punishment, Kakashi said gently, but sternly. But Kakashi-sensei, Sakura whined. Kakashi just gave her a stern look and she went quiet. Hey Kakashi, Naruto greeted neutrally. Hello Naruto, how are you? Kakashi asked though he was still hurt that Naruto was no longer on his team. He knew he'd have to make it up to Naruto somehow, some way. Doing good. I just came back from the old man's office and got a new sensei, Naruto said. I see, so who is it? Kakashi asked curiously. His mind already working on possibly talking to whoever Naruto's new sensei was to be included in Naruto's development somehow to clear his conscience of being such a horrible sensei to Naruto just hours of Naruto becoming a full-fledged genin. Her name is Yugao Azuki, and she used to be in Anbu, Naruto said. Kakashi nodded he knew her well enough and knew she would do a better job than he had done. As much as it pained him to say. But pushing that aside made a mental note to talk to Yugao sometime in hopes she'd let him help teach Naruto sometime in the future. He knew he could still teach Naruto something. Not knowing of the training Naruto had gotten in his mind by Sophia and Kitsune. Sasuke got angry. How come this loser gets his own sensei? I am an Uchiha I should have my very own sensei and not be on a team since it will only drag me down, the Uchiha stated. Sakura winced at this. Because the Hokage handles all team assignments and he took me off your team and I got a new sensei. Now if you excuse me I need to go train, Naruto said. Sasuke glared at Naruto's back and was about to follow when he was nabbed and dragged off by Kakashi to report after their latest mission. Scene break. Naruto got to a training ground and smiled. Now time to try out my new skills, he said. Yes, I'd like to see what my new student knows, Yugao said as she appeared from out of nowhere it seemed. Hey Yugao-sensei, Naruto greeted. Hello Naruto, now let's see what you can do, Yugao said. Naruto nodded. Yugao watched and was amazed at what Naruto was doing. Naruto was really good in his Kitsune Taijutsu style. Yugao tested Naruto in all areas before they stopped to rest. She found that Naruto was very skilled and even better than what was written. She had her doubts when she read the scroll, but testing Naruto had diminished those doubts all away. Now she couldn't wait to teach Naruto and maybe learn a few things as well too. She knew that she could expand on Naruto's skill more. The entire training ground was a wreck by the end of the assessment. You are very well trained Naruto. Sophia and that Kitsune person did a good job, Yugao said. How do you know that? Naruto asked worriedly. Don't worry Naruto. The Hokage received a scroll detailing what has happened to you. He labeled it an SS rank secret like your tenant. Only you, me and the Hokage knows, Yugao said. Naruto relaxed and nodded. Now, I know this is late, but we should introduce ourselves and stuff like you did with your last team, Yugao said. Naruto nodded. I'll go first. My name is Yugao Azuki. My likes are swords, learning kenjutsu and my boyfriend Hayate. My dislikes are perverts and people who look down on kunoichis. My hobbies include moon watching and learning new kenjutsu styles. My dreams are to be a kenjutsu master and open my own dojo, Yugao said. My name is Naruto Uzumaki. My likes are ramen, learning new things and my precious people. My dislikes are how long it takes for ramen to cook, perverts and those who can't tell a differences between a scroll and what's sealed inside it. My hobbies are pranking and working on new seals. My dreams, well, to be honest I don't know what my dream is anymore, Naruto said. I thought it was to be Hokage. Yugao asked remembering when Naruto was younger and him shouting his dream to the world. Yeah, but now things have changed and I'm not so sure anymore. Naruto frowned since his dream for so long was to be Hokage, but now that he had girls who saw him and liked him he didn't really feel like he needed to be recognized by the village as much. He still wanted to, just not like before. His girls saw him and that felt just right and enough for him. It's alright Naruto. I'll help you find a new dream, Yugao said. Thanks Yugao-sensei, Naruto said with a smile. Good. We are now team 11 inches Yugao said. Naruto nodded then frowned. But I thought all teams have to have 3 genin and a junin sensei. He asked. Yes, usually, but the Hokage after reading the scroll decided to make a changes in your case. He feels that if you have teammates then that would lead to questions that neither he nor you could really answer or want to, Yugao said. Naruto nodded. Now, I believe you need some clothes befitting a shinobi, Yugao said. Naruto nodded and looked down since his old orange jumpsuit had been put through the wringer during his training. The orange jacket was ripped up that he had to take it off with the orange pants just a few notches down from that. Not to mention his girls drilled into him that he shouldn't wear so much orange since it was likely to get you spotted on a mission and killed. He still liked orange, but knew to tone it down a lot. He followed Yugao into town. Yugao took Naruto to a weapons shop called the Dragon's Claw. In the shop's window was a sign that showed that they only served shinobi clientele. They entered and Naruto froze. At the counter was a bun-haired girl. It couldn't be. Could it? Sure. She told Naruto that she lived in Konoha like him, but to see her, meet her in the flesh right off the bat. He wondered if Sophia had something to do with this. Tenten was bored. Today she had a day off considering she and her team had come back from an escort mission. The mission was basic and simple without any real hassle unless you include dealing with her psycho sensei and teammate and her other brooding emo-like teammate. But now she was manning the counter wishing something good to happen. This morning when she awoke she was surprised by her body change. She read the same letter Naruto got and just shrugged. Thankfully all of her clothes still fit including her kunoichi outfit, which consisted of a pink sleeveless shirt and dark green cargo-style pants. She really didn't want to have to go through the pain of buying all new clothes. She was a girl, but shopping wasn't her thing unless she was shopping for ninja stuff, like weapons. "Hello Tenten, minding the store today?" Yugao asked with a smile. "Hi Yugao, yeah, I still think Dad does this because he's too lazy to do it himself," Tenten said looking up at Yugao, who was a regular customer. Her eyes turned and then widened when she saw Naruto. Yugao noticed this and hoped there wouldn't be a problem. Tenten got up and walked to Naruto then, well, she glomped him. She glomped the life out of him. Naruto was wheezing for breath. His face turning from his usual flesh color to red then to blue as the lack of air was building up. He was tapping Tenten's arm hoping she would get the message. Finally Tenten released Naruto and smiled wide. "It's so great to see you Naruto in the flesh," Tenten said. "Yeah, but you could have greeted me a little softer," Naruto said gasping for air as his face slowly turned back to his normal coloring. "Hey, sorry," Tenten said as she rubbed the back of her head. "You two know one another?" Yugao asked eyeing the two genin. Tenten wasn't sure what to say, but Naruto jumped on it. "It's okay Tenten, she kind of knows about Sophia," he said. Tenten just nodded and the two told Yugao how they knew each other though an abridged version. This flew the former Anbu for a loop. Sure, she knew that Naruto had 5 girls, but the scroll never told her or the Hokage who they were, just that there were 5 of them and each of them were from one of the 5 hidden villages. She didn't know who the girls were at all. All she and the Hokage got was, aside from knowing 5 girls were to be with Naruto, was all the training he had gotten. But that was all. "Okay, that's good to know," Yugao said. "So why are you here anyway Naruto?" Tenten asked. "Oh right, I need some new clothes," Naruto said. "Alright, come with me and I'll help you out," Tenten said. About 45 minutes later Naruto was dressed in his new shinobi outfit. He wasn't sure why it took this long of a time to get his clothes. I mean, it should have just taken like 5-10 minutes tops. But no, Tenten seemed adamant in helping him by having him try on several articles of clothes, mixing and matching them. She'd mutter and then frown and go back to get more for Naruto to try on. Naruto felt like a doll and Tenten was playing dress up with him. But the end result was good. Naruto was dressed in black cargo pants that had a stripe of rust orange running up both legs with several pockets for storing things. He had a weapon pouch on each leg that not only held kunai and shuriken, but also senbon too. He had on black combat-style boots that had seals on them to keep them quiet. They were also a lot more durable than most shinobi sandals. He had a white shirt underneath with an armor-like gray shirt on top of it. The armor would react to chakra, making it harder and stronger in certain areas or the whole body if needed. On his hands were fingerless gloves with a metal plate, and with the introduction of chakra, spikes would be raised in the metal surface. That all looks good, Tenten said as she tapped her chin looking over at new look Naruto donned, but it's still missing one thing. "I'll be right back." Naruto let out a long groan that meant he wanted this to end, and end now. Yugao just sat back watching all of this with great amusement. Watching Naruto being used as a dress-up doll. She had to fight back laughing since Naruto looked very displeased in his situation, but did nothing to stop Tenten for doing it. Oh, this would be great teasing material for later. Back in the rack of clothes, Tenten was looking for what she thought would complete Naruto's new outfit when she spotted something. She pulled it out. It was a blue and gray long coat that looked kind of like the one the 4th Hokage wore. Though very different. The coat was a royal blue with a gray interior and gray along the hem like waves. "I don't remember stocking this, and I know Dad never ordered anything like this since this looks like a custom job. Not something off the rack. This had to be Sophia's work," the weapons mistress thought. She took the item and headed back. "Here, this should finish off the look," she placed the coat on Naruto. Naruto then looked himself in the mirror and then turned around to see the back of the coat. He was shocked at what he saw. The image on the back was a nine-tailed fox with its 9 tails flaring out in an impressive manner. Around the fox's tails was the 5 symbols of the 5 elements with angel wings attached to them. On each of the shoulders was a blue swirl. The inside of the coat had pockets for more things, and Naruto knew he'd make use of these. What the? He asked. I think this was Sophia's doing, Tenten said. Naruto just nodded. He then got some pairs of the same clothes and Tenten rang it up. So how much, Tenten? Naruto asked. 2,970 ryo, Tenten said. I made up the number. Naruto gulped as he wondered if he had enough, but Yugao stepped in. The Hokage gave me a draft from his office. Just fill out the amount and it will be paid from the Hokage's own coffers, she said. Tenten nodded and filled out the amount and then gave it back to Yugao to give to the Hokage. Naruto let out a breath of relief. So Naruto, when can we see each other again? Tenten asked. I'm not sure, Naruto said. He then explained to Tenten about Yugao being his new sensei and everything. Tenten frowned. I am sure I can talk to Guy into doing some joint training together, Yugao said. Thanks Yugao sensei, Naruto said with a smile. Yeah, thank you Yugao, Tenten said smiling too. No problem Naruto, Tenten, Yugao said smiling right back at the two. Scene break. Days later, Naruto and Yugao trained together with Yugao working hard with Naruto. Sure, Naruto had got his training in his mind and he was a very well skilled in many things outside because of it, but Yugao provided more help to Naruto, giving him new situations that he or his girls never practiced in. Yugao wanted to make sure Naruto knew how to fight in almost any kind of situation and to use his head more. She had a good deal of practical experience and it was different for Naruto training with Yugao than when he trained with his girls, Kyuubi and Sophia. Plus the fact Yugao was a different kind of teacher and that meant the same thing he might have learned from Kitsune wouldn't be the same when Yugao taught him. So it not only reinforced what Naruto knew, but it was different in a way too. You're getting better at reading the terrain and thinking quickly in a bind Naruto, Yugao commented. Thank you sensei, Naruto said as he dodged a slash from Yugao's katana. Yosh! What amazing flames of youth! This stopped the two's training and Naruto saw what he would consider one of the strangest sights ever. Before them was a tall man wearing green spandex and orange leg warmers. He wore a Junin flak jacket that was left open and his hitai with a red cloth tied around his waist. He had black hair styled in a bowl cut and the biggest, bushiest eyebrows he had ever seen. Sensei, are those real? Naruto asked quietly so only Yugao could hear him. They are and there isn't just one, Yugao said answering in the same method as Naruto. What do you mean? Naruto was cut off as he saw what could only be a mini-me that stood by the original though minus the flak jacket and the cloth of the headband wasn't red, but the common blue. His eyes widened. No way, he shouted. Tenten and another boy followed. Tenten smiled and waved at Naruto while the boy just brooded. Great. Another freaking emo. I wonder if he and Sasuke have some kind of fraternity together. Naruto thought. Hello Guy, Yugao said. Hello Yugao, I see you and your student is brimming with flames of youth, Guy said. Yugao shivered at this. Yes Guy, and these must be your students, she said. Yes, I'd like you to meet my youthful team. This is my protege Rock Lee, his flames of youth will take him far, Guy said as he grinned with a tooth ping. The boy Rock Lee just had to imitate his sensei in pose, which made it creepier. This is Neji Hyuga of the Hyuga clan. He's a prodigy of the Hyuga clan, Guy said gesturing to the moody boy. The boy, Neji, just grunted a greeting as he looked bored with what was going on. Like he had better things to do. And this is Tenten, she never misses. She's 10 out of 10 every time, Guy said. Tenten just sighed. And I'm Konoha's great green beast, I am Might Guy. Guy said as he struck a good guy pose. Rock Lee of course had to copy this too. Yugao rubbed her temples. She could only handle Guy so much like every other shinobi in the village. There was only so much you could take of the over-eccentric and exuberant Junin. Well, Guy, Lee, Neji, and Tenten. I'd like you to introduce my student. Naruto Uzumaki, she said. I am Yugao Azuki. Yosh. It's a pleasure to meet you, Naruto, Guy said. Hi, Naruto said. It's great to meet you, Naruto. I hope our meeting will spark the great mighty flames of youth within you like it has done me, Lee said. Naruto stepped back a little, not wanting to get infected by whatever this youth thing was. He certainly hoped it wasn't contagious. Sensei, what are we doing here? Neji asked in a tone that stated he was bored here. Ah, Neji, we are here to do some joint training with Naruto here. I am sure we can stoke the fires of youth within him, Guy said, though he had a slight frown on his face due to Neji's attitude. Neji eyed Naruto. It doesn't matter. His fate will be the same, he said in a matter-of-fact tone. Guy now frowned at this. What did you say, bastard? Come and say that to my face, Naruto growled. Neji ignored Naruto. You're just like that emo Sasuke. You've got a huge freaking rod up your butt, Naruto said. Tenten's eyes widened and had to bit back the laughter bubbling within her. That wasn't very youthful to say, Naruto, Guy said with a displeased look on his face. I call them as I see them, Guy. He's a part of the emo fraternity where all they do is bitch and whine about their own pathetic little lives and cut themselves since they have nothing better to do. Bet they even play with each other since they're probably gay, Naruto said. Tenten couldn't hold back anymore and she fell on her back laughing and rolling on the ground. Yugao held her laughter back better than Tenten, but had an amused smile on her face. Guy muttered about the unyouthfulness of it all while Lee was confused. Neji looked pissed. He activated his Byakugan trying to intimidate Naruto. It didn't work. So that got a reaction out of you, Naruto said idly. Neji charged forward. Naruto dodged the initial attack. Guy looked ready to stop it, but Yugao held him back. Let it go this time, Guy. We'll make sure it doesn't go overboard, she said. She kind of wanted to see how Naruto fought against another genin with a year more experience. It would give Naruto much needed knowledge and experience. Guy just nodded, though had his doubts this would end well. Tenten watched since she had seen Naruto spar as well as sparred with him when she and the other girls were in his head, but seeing it for real was quite different, and especially against Neji. Tenten wasn't totally sure who'd win. She knew Neji was good since he was rookie of the year in their class, but Naruto was good and could be sly as a fox in battle. Neji snarled as he kept trying to hit Naruto and he evaded each time. He couldn't land a hit on Naruto at all. No matter how hard he tried. Is that all you got? Fate has determined me to be the winner the same way as fate is determined that you'll always remain in your lowly station you are in, Neji said. People who believe in fate are just hiding behind and running away like cowards from their troubles, Naruto said. You know nothing about me, Neji spat. I know enough that you've probably had a hard life. Well, tough shit. You may have had a hard life, but there are others who've had a harder time than you and have done something about it instead of bitch, whine, and complain. They got their shit together and moved on using what they'll learn to get stronger for not only themselves, but those they care about, Naruto said firmly. They kept fighting with Neji never getting a hit on Naruto. Naruto's Kitsune Taijutsu style seemed to be made for evading the Gyuken. Since the Kitsune Taijutsu style involves not only hard blows and some trickery, it also involved speed in dodging. A fox was quite agile and Naruto had that down. Not to mention that the Gyuken was so rigid in fighting style it meant it left no room to be flexible at all. That in Naruto was also pissing off Neji, which helped blind the Hyuga even more. Lee was shocked by this as was Guy. Yugao was amazed that Naruto could stand toe-to-toe against Neji. She knew the Hyuga clan liked to toot their horns about their unbeatable taijutsu, but Naruto was doing a good job destroying that belief right now. Tenten was wondering what Naruto had planned. Naruto's plan sprung into action when he twisted his body, evading one of Neji's almost lethal Gyuken strike to th heart. Naruto pulled out a seal from the inside of his coat and slapped it on bridge of Neji's nose and released a bit of chakra to activate the seal. This made Neji freeze in position, making him look like a statue while he was still in striking position. Like that. This is a seal that paralyzes your entire body so you can't move till I remove the seal from you, Naruto said. He then walked to Neji, which made the two Junin on edge, wondering what Naruto was going to do. Naruto leaned in and whispered something into Neji's ear, then yanked the seal off Neji, making the Hyuga fall over, gasping. I still haven't corrected that bit yet, Naruto said, frowning. Naruto's paralysis seal, which worked effectively, had a side effect that Naruto was still trying to work out. The side effect was that after the seal is removed, it made all the muscles in the person's body relax and go limp, thus causing the person to collapse in a heap. What did you say to him, Naruto? Yugao asked, walking over to Naruto. Just told him that he's not the only one with a seal, Naruto said. Yugao looked at Naruto with a worried look. I didn't tell him it was me, Naruto said. I need to cut this training short for me to take Neji to the hospital, Guy said. That's alright, Guy, Yugao said. Guy left with Neji, with Lee following. Tenten stayed behind after getting permission from Guy. That was a bit reckless, Naruto, Tenten said. I could handle him. I knew his weaknesses was thanks to those lessons Kitsune gave me, Naruto said. Tenten sighed and shook her head. She thought she and the other girls had trimmed enough of Naruto's brash nature, but it seemed that it wasn't enough. Scene break. Yugao helped train Naruto and got him into Kenjutsu. Naruto picked it up fast and this pleased Yugao. Thanks to Kyuubi, who still under the moniker of Kitsune, gave Naruto and Yugao his personal Kenjutsu style called Kitsune Swift. Naruto worked well with it and was working on how to mix both the Kenjutsu and Taijutsu styles together to be more effective. Yugao even bought Naruto a sword since she knew Naruto showed much promise. The sword was actually what could be called a dual-bladed katana or suba, Kodage's weapon from FF7, AC. That meant there was two blades on one end of the handle. It was a very unique sword since not many of them have ever been made. Naruto's Suba was made of chakra metal, and if Naruto pumped chakra into the blades, he strengthened them enough to be able to snap his opponent's sword if they got in between his Suba's twin blades. The dual blades could also use his element affinity when he learned it. It also had another special feature with a seal put on the sword. If Naruto put chakra into the seal, he could fuse the two blade into one for a few moments. The seal had a timer on it and it would run out and the two blades would separate back to normal. Naruto usually used it in a reverse grip fashion since it felt more comfortable for him, but could easily switch to a main grip and back again. Naruto named it Twin Fox Fang. Yugao had learned Kitsune Swift style, though she wasn't as good as Naruto with it. She wanted to learn it since it never hurt to learn a new style, as well as she had to learn it to teach Naruto. Yugao had deemed Naruto to be not just a frontline fighter, but also good at stealth and assassinations. She told the Hokage this in her reports and he agreed. Hiruzen was proud how Naruto was growing and becoming the shinobi his parents would be proud of. The boy had amazing skill in stealth given all the pranks he's done and was never caught while he set them up. I mean, no one could sneak into the Hyuga compound and steal all their underwear and then hang it all over the village or put itching powder in all their clothing. And let's not forget when he put colored dye in all the Hyuga's shampoo. The entire clan had a rainbow assortment of colors. It took 3 weeks for the colors to be gone for good. Of course, Hinata was the only one not a victim in the Hyuga target pranks. Then there's the time he drew on all the masks of all the Anbu too. No one knew how Naruto had done this and not get caught in the process. And last, him painting the Hokage monument in broad daylight without anyone noticing till he was done, and those were just a couple of Naruto's pranking highlights. Yugao had Naruto use the Kage Bushin to do D-rank missions so they could work on training. They got the record of most D-rank missions done in a day and hold the record for most D-rank missions completed for a rookie genin. Yugao and Naruto were in the middle of training when the Hokage via Anbu called them in. They arrived with Team 9 already in the office. After Naruto's little fight with Neji, the two sat down and Neji's outlook had been changed. He was still the same somewhat, but he wasn't going about fate and was even encouraging Lee in training. Though not as enthusiastically as Guy. Neji has been trying to make amends with his cousin Hinata and the main branch, especially after his uncle gave him a letter that his father wrote. He was still a work in progress, but had made great strides in a short period of time. "We're here, Lord Hokage. What's the emergency?" Yugao asked. "Ah yes. Team 11, you are here to go with Team 9 to Wave. I got a message from Kakashi stating that their mission, which was a C rank, has turned to an A rank after encounter Zabuza Momochi. They are in need of backup," Hiruzen said. "Don't you think 2 teams is a bit overkill, sir?" Yugao asked as she looked at Team 9. "Not really. You, Team 11 have a separate mission. Team 9, you are to go to Wave and assist Team 7 in any way possible," Hiruzen said. "Yes, Lord Hokage. Our brilliant flames of youth shall not fail you. We will go and help my eternal rival and his team and show off our dazzling flames of youth to our enemies." Guy proclaimed, then struck the good guy pose complete with tooth ping. He then dashed off shouting about youth at the top of his lungs, leaving a huge trail of dust in his path. Neji and Tenten sighed as they hung their heads in utter and total embarrassment. While Lee copied Guy in pose and tooth ping. Then he dashed off after his sensei, leaving his own trail of dust and his own overly loud proclamations of the greatness of the springtime of youth. Neji and Tenten followed out, heads down, still feeling so embarrassed even though they should be used to this by now. Hiruzen thankfully had learned how to block out Guy's shouting while still being able to listen to Guy. He then turned to Naruto and Yugao. "Yugao, this mission you and Naruto will have is an assassination. Do you think he's ready?" Hiruzen asked seriously. Yugao thought for a moment, then nodded. Naruto stayed quiet the whole time since he knew this was his sensei's decision and he'd abide by it. "He is, sir," Yugao said firmly. This made Naruto's chest swell with pride in the confidence that Yugao had in him. "Excellent. Get packed and meet Team 9 at the gate," Hiruzen said, then dismissed them. Scene break. Both Team 9 and 11 headed to Wave with great speed. They didn't have a civilian with them, so they were able to get to Wave in no time. They got to Tazuna's home thanks to some directions from a villager. When they got there, they were greeted by a woman named Tsunami, who was the daughter of the bridge builder. They found Team 7 in the living room. Kakashi on crutches along with Sakura and Sasuke with a new boy that had taken Naruto's place, his name Mocha. He's a civilian and became a genin, but was put on reserve due to being the odd one out of graduates. He joined Kakashi's team after Naruto was taken off. Sasuke and Mocha looked a bit beat up, with Sakura not looking too good either. "Kakashi-sensei, why are they here?" Sakura shouted. Everyone winced at the super loud shrill tone. "I called for backup, Sakura. We're in over our heads with Zabuza," Kakashi said. I'm an Uchiha. I don't need anyone's help," Sasuke said. Sakura got hearts in her eyes as she fawned over Sasuke and how cool he was. Mocha rolled his eyes as he sat back. "Please tell me I wasn't like that," Neji whispered to his teammates. "Not at all, Neji. You didn't have that kind of attitude," Tenten said. Neji sighed in relief. "You were just all emo about fate and crap," Tenten said happily. Neji dropped his head. "Cheer up, Neji. You are no longer like that. You've let your glorious flames of youth explode within you," Lee said. This didn't cheer Neji up at all, he just got more depressed. The 3 Junin decided they needed to talk about the situation. So they sat away from their students. "Okay, Kakashi, what's the situation?" Yugao asked. Kakashi then explained everything that happened after they left Konoha. "Being attacked by the demon brothers should have tipped you off that this wasn't a simple C-rank mission and you were in over your head, Kakashi," Yugao said sternly. "I know, but I left the decision of going on or turning back up to my team," Kakashi said. "Yes, and look at what happened," Yugao said with a frown and scolding look at her fellow Junin and her former Anbu captain. "Yosh, that was very unyouthful getting trapped in that jutsu," Guy said. "Yeah, I'm a bit rusty," Kakashi said, rubbing the back of his head. Well, you have Team 9 to you back up. Naruto and I have another mission, Yugao said. And what mission is that? Kakashi asked curiously. We're to eliminate Gato, Yugao said. You think Naruto is ready for that? Kakashi asked. I do, Kakashi. I have trained Naruto long and hard. He's ready for this, Yugao said firmly. Kakashi wanted to say something, but he knew it wasn't his place at all to question a fellow Junin about their training methods or about the ability of their students. While the Junin were talking, the Genin were sitting off to the side. Mocha looked listless and bored. In the academy he tended to be by himself and never made any friends with the other kids. Sasuke sat there glaring and trying to size up Naruto as well as looking at the sword Naruto now carried on his back. His eyes scanned over Team 9, eyeing each one, wondering if they could be possible opponents. He looked over Tenten since she was a girl. But he saw possible strong opponent in Neji since he knew as a Hyuga Neji was strong though not as strong as him, and Uchiha of course. As for Lee, Sasuke wasn't sure what to think. Sakura was fawning over Sasuke and glaring at Naruto. She would then eye Tenten like the girl would move in on her man any second. Sakura wasn't about to let that happen and would fight for her man even though she was an utterly pathetic fighter. Neji was sitting patiently waiting for the Junins to finish. He heard all about Sasuke from Naruto, and after seeing glimpse of Sasuke in the village and up close now he agreed with Naruto. Sasuke was a moody little emo with the biggest, rustiest kunai shoved up his butt. Lee was barely containing himself from exploding in a rant about youth. That and he had professed his undying love for Sakura, which made the pink-haired girl hide behind Sasuke. Lee then began his, "I shall win your love," rant before Tenten shut him up with a knuckle sandwich. Tenten was getting her first real look at Naruto's former team. She looked at Sakura with disgust. She hated fangirls. They gave kunoichis like herself, who strived to be the best and show that they could be as good as men in the ninja profession, a bad name. She remembered hearing from Naruto how Sakura never trained a day in her life and couldn't wait to see how weak the girl was so she could beat the snot out of her. Then there was the Uchiha, he was strong. Tenten knew that for sure, but she agreed with Naruto that he had no other redeeming qualities at all. Mocha was the wild card since Tenten had no idea about the boy at all. Naruto was sitting back, the relaxed of them all really. He just wanted to get this done with so he could go and take care of his mission with Yugao. Would care to explain why you're glaring at Naruto? Tenten asked Sakura. Naruto idiot is trying to look cooler than Sasuke, Sakura said like she was stating a fact. Which he is so not, she added in a snobbish tone. Tenten paused for a moment then burst out laughing at this. She couldn't believe that was what this pink-haired girl was thinking. Neji rolled his eyes and thought, typical, fangirls. What's so funny? Sakura shrieked. I'm sorry, but Naruto isn't trying to look cool for anyone, Tenten said as she tried to get a control of her laughter. What do you mean? Look at what he's wearing. But it doesn't matter since Sasuke is still cooler, Sakura said firmly. Tenten stopped laughing and glared at Sakura. Yes, Tenten had to agree with Sakura that Sasuke looked cool. But that was all. Sure, he was strong and only member of his clan, but so was Naruto. And besides, Naruto in her opinion was so much cooler than Sasuke no matter what. Sasuke may look cool, Naruto is cool through and through. Not to mention Naruto actually had a personality unlike Sasuke, who just had three setting really. Emo, super emo and really super emo. You're a fangirl, aren't you? Neji asked. Huh, Sakura said intelligently. I'll take that as a yes. You and your kind are always the first to die. You're a disgrace to all the hard-working and strong kunoichi that had come before you, Neji said. And as for the clothes Naruto is wearing, I helped pick them out since he and his sensei came to my shop. I wasn't trying to make him all cool, just something that wasn't all orange, Tenten said. The loser needs a girl to pick out his clothes, Sasuke snorted. Yeah, he can't even buy his own clothes, Sakura said, backing up her beloved Sasuke. Tenten looked pissed, but Naruto stopped her. They're not worth it, he said. Tenten frowned, but sat back. Soon the Junin broke their meeting and came over. Okay, here's what's going to happen. Team 9 will be helping us watch over the Tazuna while I train my team up, Kakashi said. What about Naruto? Tenten asked. Naruto and I have our own business to take care of. Come Naruto, Yugao said. Naruto got up and said his goodbyes to Team 9 then left. Sasuke glared at Naruto's back. He didn't like that Naruto had his own assignment and he was stuck here. Scene break. Naruto and Yugao made their way away from Tazuna's house and then stopped. Naruto uses many Kage Bushin and have them locate and scout Gato's hideout. Make sure they aren't seen at all, Yugao said. Naruto nodded and performed the jutsu and hundreds of clones appeared. All of you, look for Gato's hideout and when you find it scout around so we know the area. Then dispel so we'll have the information, Yugao commanded. Aye, the clone army said then left. Scene break. Back with Team 7 and 9 they were working out a schedule. Sasuke was pissed that Naruto was out and doing something and he was stuck here. He got up and headed for the door. Sasuke, where are you going? Kakashi asked. I'm going to find out where the loser went, Sasuke said. He's none of our concern. We've got our mission and he has his, Kakashi said. Sasuke growled. He wasn't happy with what little progress he was making while he was sure Naruto was getting stronger each day. He'll have to go to the council when he got to get them to order Kakashi to train him so he could kill his brother. Alright, let's head out to train team, Kakashi said with an eye smile. Scene break. A few days later Naruto and Yugao were at Gato's headquarters. Thanks to Naruto's Kage Bushin they found it and after they got there Yugao had Naruto use his clones to map the entire place inside and out. The clones had hanged into mice and surveyed the place inside and out. He has a lot of guards, but none seem to have any experience dealing with shinobi, Naruto said. He's arrogant enough to think the more guards he has the less likely he'll be attacked, Yugao said. What's the plan, sensei? Naruto asked. How many exploding tags do you have on you? Yugao asked knowing Naruto was skilled in fuinjutsu. Enough to demolish a couple of small towns, Naruto said. Good. I think I found a way to eliminate the guards and cause enough of a distraction to get us inside, Yugao said. Using shadow clones they tagged many of the guards and then set the tags off causing the guards to explode. It was chaos and that was what Naruto and Yugao needed. They slipped in then several men stopped Yugao. She took them on. Naruto, go take out the target, she ordered as she fought off her opponents with some ease. Naruto nodded and made it to Gato's office. He got stopped by several low-level mercenaries, but Naruto pulled out Twin Fox Fang and fought them and killing them. His mind was so set on the task that he didn't even notice he killed them. He had one goal, to get to Gato. Gato was running to his panic room, which he had built far away from his office since it didn't match his decor that he had in his office. Naruto caught him and pumping chakra into the seal on Twin Fox Fang the dual blades combined as one. Naruto swung it and he beheaded the tiny tyrant without much fuss. Naruto saw the blood pool from the now headless body and the fresh stench of death and he vomited right then and there. The seal released and the fused blade became two once again. Yugao found Naruto sitting by the body white as a sheet then she saw the vomit by the body. She felt bad that Naruto had to do it, but knew he needed to do it. She had seen Naruto's handiwork as she raced by. The first kill was the hardest and Yugao wanted Naruto to get it over with quickly. It would have been much worse if she held off any longer. She knelt down and placed a hand on his shoulder. She felt him flinch. It's all right Naruto. You did what you had to do and I don't think any less about you and I don't think Tenten will either, she said gently. Naruto nodded as he wiped his tears away. After that they got up and ransacked Gato's office for anything. They found several interesting things. Scene break. Naruto and Yugao came back to Tazuna's house and Yugao presented Tazuna with all the account numbers of Gato. Tazuna cried upon receiving this. Sasuke was absolutely angry with this since Naruto had done a mission that would be considered a B or a rank. How come I'm stuck here while that loser gets stronger? I'm an Uchiha and I demand to be trained. I have to get stronger so I can kill my brother. Sasuke shouted. Team 11 and 9 looked at Sasuke with disgust. Lee and Guy muttered about how unyouthful Sasuke was being. Look Uchiha, you'll get the training that your sensei deems fit to teach you, Yugao said sternly. I'm an Uchiha, this stuff is below me, Sasuke said arrogantly. It's arrogant shinobi like you that are likely to be killed first in battle, Neji said. No one can't beat me, I'm an Uchiha, Sasuke proclaimed. Come Naruto, let's go out and train some more, Yugao said not wanting to hear any more Uchiha boasting. Naruto nodded got up. Sensei, may I join Naruto? Tenten asked. Of course Tenten, Guy said. He knew Yugao could help Tenten more than he could since he didn't specialize in weapons at all and Yugao did. But he didn't know of Tenten's training that she had in Naruto's mindscape. Scene break. The confrontation on the bridge would be one no one would forget. Teams 7, 9 and 11 were all there and Zabuza was shocked to see the reception. Haku behind her Hunter Nin mask recognized Naruto. She leapt over and pulled him into a tight hug. Naruto, it's so great to meet you, she said through her Hunter Nin mask. Haku, Naruto asked as he recognized her voice. Haku nodded and pulled off her mask revealing her face. She had a smile on her face as hugged Naruto again this time with Naruto hugging right back. This was definitely a better greeting than the one Tenten gave him when they first met in person. He wasn't squeezed painfully, it was a nice gentle and firm hug. What's going on? Kakashi asked confused. Sorry Kakashi, but that's something only the Hokage and I are privy to, Yugao said knowing Naruto had just met another one of his companions it seems. Tenten smiled as she saw Haku for the first time in person. She had to fight the urge to join in on the hug. Since she couldn't reveal how she knew Haku, not yet at least. Haku, what's this? Zabuza asked looking at his weapon. I'm sorry Zabuza, but I can't hurt Naruto, Haku said. Zabuza saw this and then sighed. He had wanted to make Haku into his weapon, but could never push Haku into doing what he wanted her to do. And over time he grew to care for Haku like a daughter instead of a tool. I release you Haku, go with him, he said with a sigh. Zabuza, Haku asked shocked. Go live your life Haku. I'll be fine, Zabuza said. Haku just nodded as she wiped a tear away. That night after the work on the bridge Naruto, Tenten and Haku met. It's great to meet you in the flesh, Tenten said. Yeah, me too, Haku said with a smile. They chatted for a while catching up on what's been going on in their lives since they last saw each other. So that's two, I wonder how I'll meet the other three. Naruto asked. Tenten and Haku thought the same thing. The bridge was getting finished and Yugao decided it was time to leave. Team 11's mission was over with. Haku joined Naruto and Yugao back with Yugao sending a note back to the Hokage. So Naruto said goodbye to Tenten and then headed back to Konoha with Yugao and Haku. It was decided that Team 9 would remain in wave with Team 7 since they might still need backup if any of Gato's forces were left and might try something. Yugao and Naruto highly doubted this since they took care most of them, but as a shinobi you could never be too careful. Naruto, Yugao and Haku stood in front of the Hokage. Ah Team 11, it's great to see you back and who is this? Hiruzen asked. Yugao gave her report and told who Haku was. Haku was surprised that they knew about her and the other girls. She turned to Naruto and smiled at her. This put her at ease since if Naruto wasn't worried then that meant he trusted them. So she'd trust them. I see, and Haku was never an actual shinobi, right? Hiruzen asked as she stroked his beard as he smoked his pipe. No sir, Haku said. This is perfect. Yugao, would you mind if I put Haku on your team? Hiruzen asked. No sir, Yugao said shaking her head. Excellent, Hiruzen said then began the paperwork. He tossed Haku a headband and she placed it on her forehead. Congratulations, you're now a shinobi of Konoha. May the will of fire burn forever within you, he said. Thank you, Lord Hokage, Haku said, bowing. After that, Haku was set up in an apartment next to Naruto's. Scene break. Naruto sighed as he got back to his apartment. He tossed his stuff nearby and slumped to the couch exhausted. Tears began to leak from his eyes. He had killed. He couldn't get over it. He had killed, and multiple times too. Did that make him a monster or something? Even after spending so much time with his girls, in his mind he still had some lingering self-doubts. He could feel himself tremble all over as more tears spilled from his cheeks. He cried himself to sleep that night. The next day Naruto got up not feeling like himself. A knock on his door jarred him from his zombie state. He answered it and found it was Haku. She walked in and pulled him into a tight hug. Haku? He asked in a croak. Sophia told me last night in my dream about what you did, Haku said as she began rubbing his back. Naruto just broke down again. He thought he had cried enough last night, but it seemed that he had more tears. Haku just hugged Naruto and took them to the couch to be more comfortable. They sat there with Haku comforting him as much as she possibly could. When Naruto had settled, Haku went to cook something for Naruto and herself. She was happy that Naruto had food in his cupboards. She had to thank Yugao for this. So Haku made a nice meal for them both and Naruto spilled out how the mission went. When he was finished, Haku was holding his hand tightly. Yugao-sensei is right, Naruto, Haku said. Naruto looked up. You did what you had to do. You stopped an evil man and saved a village. The ones you killed, they were just bandits and mercenaries, and they'd just commit some other evil deed if you didn't stop them when you did. I don't think of you any less, nor would Tenten or any of the other girls. You're the same Naruto we got to know, nothing has changed at all, Haku said. I'm not a monster. Naruto asked. No, you're not, Haku said gently as she gave Naruto's hand an extra squeeze. Naruto smiled, his first smile since he had killed. The rest of the day Naruto and Haku spent together relaxing and for Naruto to heal some more. Haku went shopping herself since she didn't do much yesterday. Scene break. A few days later Naruto and Haku stood in front of Yugao at Team 11's regular training ground. They had been off duty since it was standard procedure to do so after such a mission. Okay. I know Naruto knows what you can do, Haku, but I need to know what skills you have, Yugao said. Haku nodded. I am very skilled in my Hyoten bloodline and I am a trained medic nin too. I use Senbon needles mostly and my accuracy with them are perfect. My taijutsu is also very good, she said. Yugao nodded. She'd have to tell the Hokage about Haku's bloodline, but that was later. Alright. We're going to spar and train for today and tomorrow we'll go on missions, she said. So Yugao sparred with Haku and got a good sense on how good Haku was. She knew she shouldn't be surprised by what Haku can do since she was trained just like Naruto had been, but it was still amazing. At times during the spar Yugao had to loosen the restrictions she placed on herself when she saw how good Haku was. She never went full out on Haku since she knew Haku wouldn't be able to handle it, but by letting go a little it helped her figure out where Haku was. After the sparring session Haku healed all the injuries sustained, then Yugao had Naruto and Haku spar a bit, though she knew Naruto and Haku knew each other well. Scene break. A few days later, Team 11 got a mission, which was a simple C rank. This one was to head to Kumo to deliver a message. Yugao nodded and took the message that would be given to the Raikage. After packing they arrived at the gate to leave just as Team 7 and 9 entered. Well, hello, leaving? Kakashi asked with an eye smile. Yes, we have a mission, Yugao said. I see. Well, good luck, Kakashi said. Guy flashed a smile and toothed ping as he gave Team 11 a thumbs up. Neji just nodded to them and Lee copied his sensei. Sasuke glared at Naruto since Naruto was heading out of the village again. Going on another mission, that should be mine, the Uchiha thought. Tenten chatted with Naruto and Haku. Naruto told her that Haku was living right next to him. They couldn't talk long since they had to leave. So they parted ways, promising to talk when they got back. Come on team, let's go, Yugao said. Naruto and Haku followed after her. Scene break. Team 11 were making a good pace heading to Kumo. Say Yugao-sensei, how far is Kumo? Naruto asked. It's quite a ways really, it's located in the mountains. But we're making good time, Yugao said. Soon they made camp for the night. Haku was cooking dinner with the wood Naruto had found and Yugao had gathered the water. The meal was nice and simple and then soon it was time for bed. Haku had forgotten to pack her tent and decided to sleep with Naruto. You can have my tent, Haku. I'll sleep out here, Naruto offered. It's alright, Naruto. I think I can trust you with my honor, Haku giggled. Naruto went red and Yugao seeing this was amused. She then said goodnight to her team and headed off to the tree where she'd be keeping watch. Naruto was nervous as heck as he had tried a few more times to let Haku have the tent and he sleep outside. Naruto Uzumaki, get inside the tent this instant, Haku ordered. Yes ma'am, Naruto said obediently. Yugao watched this exchange and smiled as she shook her head in amusement. Oh poor Naruto. He had 3 other girls that were still to come. She wondered how the blonde would handle it all. It would be great fun to watch, she knew that. Scene break. Team 11 arrived in Kumo and were checked in at the gate. Naruto and Haku stood in awe at the mountains and how it seemed to envelop them from almost all sides. Come along, I don't want you two to get lost here, Yugao said as she saw her 2 students slowing down as they were taking in the sights. Naruto and Haku rushed to catch up to their sensei. They got to the Raikage Tower and was let in. Naruto and Haku's eyes widened when they saw who was in the office. Haku, is that who I think it is? Naruto whispered to Haku. Yes, it is, Haku whispered back. Before the 2 members of Team 11 was Samui and her team. Ah yes, the Konoha Nin, what do I owe the pleasure? The Raikage asked. We're here to deliver an invitation to the Chunin exams that will be held in Konoha this year, Yugao said as Yugao handed over the scroll. I see, the Raikage said as he took the scroll. Samui turned to see the newcomers and her eyes widened a fraction, but then returned to normal. She then did some hand signs that Naruto and Haku would understand. While in Naruto's mind he and his 5 girls had created their own sign language. So they could talk to one another if needed to without anyone knowing what they were saying. Naruto and Haku caught Samui's message and nodded just slightly to let her know they understood. Samui was relieved seeing that. It will be about a day before I can give you a response. Will that be alright? The Raikage asked. Yugao nodded. Scene break. Yugao gave Naruto and Haku time off to look around though warned them not to get into any kind of trouble. The 2 headed off to where Samui told them to go. Samui had told them a lot about her life in Kumo and what places she liked. So this led the 2 to a training ground. It wasn't long for Samui to appear. She had a smile on her face, which was rare for those who really knew her. Hey Samui, Naruto greeted. Hello Naruto, Haku, Samui said then hugged Naruto and then Haku. Hello Samui, Haku said. Soon the 3 chatted catching up when they last saw each other, which was in Naruto's mind. So Samui, think you'll be in the Chunin exams? Naruto asked. Most likely Naruto. B-sensei thinks we're ready, Samui said. Great, I can't wait for you to come to Konoha, Naruto said. Samui just nodded. So Naruto, you said you've learned Kenjutsu. Let's see how good you are, Samui said as she pulled out her tanto. Naruto looked at Haku, who jumped back to play referee. He then pulled out Twin Fox Fang. Samui eyed it with great curiosity since she had never seen a sword like the one Naruto was using. Most Kumo nin who took up the sword usually used broadswords, zanbatos, tantos or single-bladed katanas. Not a double like Naruto's. And the way he held it was different too. This was going to be an interesting match and that got her blood pumping. The 2 faced off both in their own fighting position. They stared each other down, waiting for the right moment. Alright, begin, Haku said. With speed Samui and Naruto raced towards one another, their blades of steel shining in the sun. The sound of clashing steel echoed through the training ground. Samui and Naruto moved in almost Chunin-like speed as they clashed. Every slash Samui made was parried by Naruto and vice versa. Both weren't giving either an inch, though remained cognizant that this was just a spar and weren't out to really hurt the other. It didn't stop them from pushing each other to even higher heights though. Haku watched wide-eyed since she had never seen anything like it. This spar also drew attention. Yugao was watching as well as Samui's team. Yo, it's blonde against blonde, they are so getting it on. A tall dark-skinned shinobi with 8 swords on his back badly wrapped. A ponytailed blonde sighed as she rubbed forehead and groaned. A red-haired, dark-skinned girl was shocked seeing the fight. No way, he's actually fighting Samui on even ground, she said. A white-haired dark-skinned boy with a sucker in his mouth watched on. But if he beats Samui, then that could cause a big rift and the Raikage would demand retribution for the boy beating Samui, and the Hokage will deny it, and then it will cause a war between Kumo and Konoha and we'll be fighting in a great war and… Shut up Omoi, the red-haired girl shouted as she slammed her fist into Omoi's face. This caused Omoi to fall over. The ponytailed blonde sighed as she saw this and shook her head. Then turned back to the bad rapper, who was writing furiously in a notepad, nodding to himself as he hummed a beat or something like it and wondered why she was in between these weirdos. Yugao watched, eyeing the girl's technique. She liked what she was seeing. Naruto had come far with his training to be able to fight on the same level as Samui. Though Yugao didn't know Samui's name, she did know that Samui was quite skilled with the tanto she wields. She also didn't know that Samui was one of Naruto's girls, and she had the same kind of training in Naruto's mind. Back on the field, Naruto and Samui finally pulled back. They were both breathing heavily. You are quite good, Samui said. And you've gotten better, Naruto said. They both smiled at each other as they moved in and clashed blades again. This went on with the sounds of clanging steel echoing. Tenten would have been in heaven hearing this. Finally they jumped back to give each other some distance. We're evenly matched it seems, Samui said. It appears that way. Shall we end it? Naruto asked. Yes, that sounds good, Samui said. They sheathed their swords and then moved in for a taijutsu match. What in the world is Samui doing? She was doing great with her tanto, the redhead asked. Not sure, the ponytailed girl said with a shrug. Back to the match, Samui threw a punch with Naruto slapping it away and then tried to kick Samui. Samui jumped away, but Naruto followed her and kept up his assault. Samui felt overwhelmed, but she kept her composure and blocked all attacks as she waited for an opening. She found one and slammed an elbow into Naruto's chest. Naruto threw an uppercut into Samui's gut at the same time. They jumped away from each other, panting hard. Call it a draw, Naruto suggested. It won't be cool, but yes. A draw, Samui said. She knew she was getting tired and wouldn't be able to last too much longer and knew Naruto still had fuel to burn. Haku called the match, and that's when Samui and Naruto noticed the audience they had. Naruto looked embarrassed as he rubbed the back of his head. Hey, he said. Very eloquent Naruto, Haku said with a roll of her eyes as she was checking over Samui and Naruto for injuries. Yugao walked over to Naruto. That was well done, Naruto, she said. Thank you, sensei, Naruto said, bowing. Yo-yo. That was Titan with so much dynamite, the Kumo nin with the 8 swords wrapped. Naruto asked. Samui sighed as she massaged her temples. Naruto, Haku, this is my sensei B, she said. You call me Killer Bee because I float like a butterfly and sting like a killer bee. Yeah, Kurabi rapped. These are my 2 teammates Karui and Omoi, Samui said, ignoring her sensei. How the hell did you fight Samui on such even ground? Karui demanded. I trained hard, Naruto said. Yes, but how do you know Samui? That's the question. The ponytailed blonde-haired girl asked. Who are you? Naruto asked. This is Yugito ni, Samui introduced. Oh, so hi everyone. My name is Naruto Uzumaki, Naruto said with a grin and a wave. I am Haku, Haku said bowing. And I am their Junin sensei Yugao, Yugao said. After that the small crowd had dispersed, but Karui still wanted to know how Naruto was able to fight against Samui and hold his own. She wanted to know because Samui seemed to have grown or something over the months and she was now the best on the team. Not saying she wasn't, but she was a hell of a lot better than before. She knew more and was wiser too. Yugito wanted to know this as well as how Naruto knew Samui since as far as she knew Samui had never run into Konoha Shinobi at all before. She would have heard about it from Karui and Omoi about it and they looked just as surprised about Naruto. So how did Naruto and Samui know each other? Come on Naruto, there's places I want to show you and Haku, Samui said. She pulled Naruto and Haku away. Yugao smiled at this since she had figured out that Samui was one of Naruto's girls and left. Karui was shocked and decided to follow them. In her mind Naruto and Haku had somehow brainwashed Samui. It was the only reason she could think of. So she followed the three. She grabbed and dragged Omoi with her since she needed a witness. Omoi waved his arms in protest as he kept asking Karui what was going on, but got no answer. Yugito followed after them since she knew she'd have to keep them out of trouble. This left B standing there oblivious to everything as he kept writing in his notebook. Scene break. Samui was happy to see Naruto and Haku. She had gotten a letter from Sophia when she woke up to explain things. She was pleased she could still fit into her old clothes since buying new ones were a pain. She dodged questions about her excelled performance from her team and soon everything went back to normal though she knew the questions would come back now with Naruto and Haku showing up. She had no clue when she'd meet Naruto in person, but was pleased it wasn't that long since it wouldn't be very cool if it took a long time at all. And this is the stand I go to most when I am hungry, Samui said. Did they serve ramen? Naruto asked. Haku smacked Naruto in the back of the head. Ow. Haku, why'd you do that? Naruto whined as he rubbed his sore head. I thought we snipped away that ramen addict out of you in your mind. I guess you need a refresher, Haku said. Samui smiled at this and then led them inside to a table. Karui and Omoi were right behind them. So tell me again why we're doing this? Omoi asked. Karui sighed in exasperation. We're doing this because something is wrong with Samui. She isn't acting like she usually is. We need to find out what's going on and see if they've brainwashed her at all, she said. Now that's just dumb, Omoi said. Karui looked at Omoi. What did you just say? She asked. It's dumb. We know Samui, we've known her since the academy. We've been on the same team since graduation. Been on missions with her. If there had been changes in Samui then we'd have noticed it a long time ago that she had brainwashed in some way, Omoi said. Karui was shocked that Omoi was making sense and not going on with his, what if, ramblings. Yugito who was shadowing the two heard Omoi and had to agree, but that still didn't mean that she won't find out how Samui knows this Naruto and Haku. So the three moved into the stand and found seats close by to the trio so they could listen in. Scene break. So what have you all been up to since we saw each other last? Samui asked. Well, I'm off my team. As you can see, I now have a new sensei Yugao Azuki, Naruto said. Samui nodded. Well, I met Tenten. She works in a weapons shop that I went to with my sensei. She picked out the clothes I am wearing now, Naruto said. Samui nodded and liked what Naruto was wearing. A hell of a lot better than all the orange he wore before. How'd you meet Haku? Samui asked. Scene break. The three eavesdroppers furrowed their brows since they were confused with Samui's questions. They had met before. But how? Karui and Omoi would have definitely remember meeting Naruto and Haku. Yugito was now quite suspicious with this all. And now this girl named Tenten, just what was going on here? Scene break. Well, my sensei and I along with Tenten's team were called on to help another team, my old team, Naruto said. Samui nodded, remembering what Naruto had told her about his team. So anyway, my mission with my sensei was to eliminate the threat. Killed, Naruto said. Samui's eyes showed much concern for Naruto, and she took Naruto's hand while Haku took a hold of his other. Naruto looked at both girls and smiled at them with a tearful smile, thanking them both without words. He then told her all about meeting Haku, with Haku telling it from her point of view. I see. This is very interesting and makes me wonder who will be next, Samui said. Scene break. The three eavesdroppers were now really confused as to what was going on and what Samui was talking about. None of this was making any sense to them at all. Scene break. You two know we're being spied on, right? Naruto asked in a quiet whisper. Haku and Samui nodded. So what should we do? Naruto asked. Let them listen. I don't care, Samui said. Haku and Naruto nodded. Scene break. Karui, Omoi and Yugito followed Naruto, Samui and Haku out of the food stand and headed to get some ice cream. How much longer do we have to follow them? Omoi asked. Till we find out what's going on, Karui said stubbornly. Wouldn't be easier to just ask them? Omoi asked. This made Karui freeze along with Yugito. Yugito sighed and slapped a hand over her face and groaned at how stupid she was being. Karui on the other hand went to a more violent route. She grabbed Omoi by his collar and began shaking him with much aggression. Why the hell didn't you suggest that before, you idiot? She shouted. Omoi was getting jostled too much to even give a reply. Karui let go of Omoi before he blacks out. Again, Samui said as she was holding her ice cream. Karui stopped seeing that stern look Samui was giving her. She dropped Omoi, who went to the ground. His eyes just swirls. Haku walked over after handing her ice cream over to Naruto to hold and began checking Omoi over. What are you doing? Yugito asked, ready to attack Haku. I'm a trained medic nin and just want to make sure there isn't any permanent damage, Haku said calmly as she kept checking over Omoi. So will he be alright? Samui asked. Yeah, he will be. It seems he's amazingly resilient when it comes to this kind of abuse, Haku said with a bit of awe in her voice. Of course. Karui has been using Omoi as a punch bag of sorts since they were little kids, Yugito said. Naruto handed Haku back her ice cream. Why were you three following me? Samui asked coolly. We want to know what the hell is going on, Karui said. Yugito sighed and wondered why Karui had to just dive right in. I see, and why is this any of your business? Samui asked as she narrowed her eyes. We're just worried, Samui, Yugito said, jumping before Karui could reply. I appreciate your concern, but Naruto and Haku haven't done anything to me and will ever, Samui said. And how do you know that? Karui asked. By the will of God herself, Samui said. This made Karui and Yugito blinked. What the hell did that mean? Scene break. The next day came and Naruto and Haku said goodbye to Samui at the gate with promises to see each other when Samui gets to Konoha for the exams. After that, Team 11 headed back to their village. Once back, Yugao gave the report and the addition of Naruto finding another of his girls when in Kumo. Hiruzen just sighed and shook his head. The way things are going with Naruto. All of his girls will be here in the Chunin exams, the old leader thought. Hiruzen didn't know how true his prediction was, but shelved it since he had a bigger issue to deal with. In front of him was all this paperwork. Scene break. Naruto, Haku and Tenten hung out with each other, with Tenten deciding to move in Naruto's building so she could be close to Naruto and Haku. The building was owned by Hiruzen and allowed it since he liked the idea of Naruto and his girls being together. So Tenten's apartment was on one side of Naruto's and Haku's the other. This pleased all three of them as talk was coming about of the upcoming Chunin exams. So Tenten, you think your team will be entered? Haku asked. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we will. Guy-sensei held us back last time since he didn't think we were ready then, Tenten said. The three were in Naruto's apartment just relaxing since all three had a day off, which was rare since both of their teams had very different schedules. That's great, Tenten. I wonder if we'll be entered too, Haku. Naruto asked. We most likely won't, Naruto. You need a 3-man cell to take the exams and it's just the 2 of us, Haku said. Oh, right, Naruto said, frowning. Cheer up, Naruto, Tenten said as she rubbed his back. I guess, but it would be cool to be in the exams, Naruto said. It would, but we're not experienced enough. We may have the skills, but not the experience, Haku said. Yeah, you're right, Naruto sighed. Scene break. Naruto, Haku and Tenten were in the Hokage's office wondering why they were summoned. Good for you to come and so promptly, Hiruzen said. What is it, old man? Naruto asked. Haku and Tenten just sighed and shook their heads. Hiruzen chuckled. Right to the point, Naruto. Well, the reason I called you here is to put Haku and Tenten into your clan, he said. What do you mean? Naruto asked with squinty eyes. Yugao had told me about your bloodline, Haku, Hiruzen said as he looked at Haku. Yes sir, Haku said. Word will reach the council of this and they will want to put you into a breeding program to get more Hyoten users, Hiruzen said. No way. They'll not touch Haku, Naruto said viciously. Haku shocked to hear this, but smiled as she heard how defensive Naruto got for her. Hiruzen smiled at this. Yes, while I want to strengthen the village with bloodlines. They aren't the all-powerful they are made out to be. Plus, I'd hate to lose one of my most promising ninja to such a program, Hiruzen said, so to counter it I am going to have Naruto revive the Uzumaki clan here. What do you mean, sir? Tenten asked. It's quite simple really. Haku, Tenten, would you like to change your names to Uzumaki? Hiruzen asked. But we're not ready to marry Naruto yet, Haku said with red cheeks. Tenten was also blushing. Hiruzen chuckled. No, that's not what I am asking. Though I think down the road you two and Naruto's 3 other girls will reach that point. No, by having your last names as Uzumaki you all can be established as a clan. According to the Konoha Charter, a clan has to be made up of 2 or more members. They can be blood-related or adopted into the clan, he said. Now since Naruto will be the head of the Uzumaki clan he can adopt you into the clan, but only he can do this. Naruto looked at Haku and Tenten. Well, what do you think? He asked. How will this protect me from the council? Haku asked. Good question. The council cannot force a member of a clan into the breeding program. There are bylaws preventing it unless the clan is on the verge of dying out. But I can't see that with you. Only the Hokage and the clan heads can decide that. The council has no control over that at all, Hiruzen said. The 3 looked at each other and discussed things. They then turned to Hiruzen after they finished their talk. We'll do it, Naruto said. Good. Now to the paperwork, Hiruzen said with glee. After what felt like an eternity of paperwork, which made Naruto's hand ache, Tenten and Haku were now members of the Uzumaki clan. Hiruzen ratified it too by placing the Hokage seal on it as soon as it was all filled out and signed. Congratulations, now there's no clan compound you can use at the moment, but I'll be looking into it, Hiruzen said. That's okay, we're fine where we live right now, Naruto said. Haku and Tenten nodded. The 2 girls had their ninja ids changed to now have their new last names and their clan status. Same with Naruto, with him now being in a clan and clan head. Naruto, as clan head of the Uzumaki clan, it will give you a seat on the council, but we'll discuss that later, Hiruzen said. Naruto nodded. Scene break. As Hiruzen predicted, the council found out about Haku's bloodline and demanded her to be put into the breeding program, but Hiruzen stopped them by showing off the paperwork that a clan is protecting and who the clan was. There was loud screams and arguing, but they couldn't do a thing since Hiruzen as the Hokage had final word. He also threatened the council if they tried to act on taking Haku for breeding there'd be severe punishment. The clan heads stood firm with the Hokage, knowing if they allowed this then their clans could be next, and they didn't want that since they wanted to control their rights to breed whoever they saw fit and have the council decide for them. Scene break. As the exams slowly crept closer, Naruto and Haku got a surprise when they arrived at their training grounds. Yugao was there with someone else. Team, this is Koji. He's your new teammate, Yugao said. Naruto and Haku greeted Koji. Today I'm going to let you three get to know one another, then tomorrow we'll get back to training, Yugao said. Does that mean you're going to enter us in the Chunin exams? Naruto asked. Maybe, Yugao said mysteriously. Naruto pouted at the answer. So Koji, what kind of skills do you have? Haku asked. I am a sensor type. I prefer genjutsu over ninjutsu and my taijutsu is on par with the average genin, Koji said. Naruto and Haku shared their skills and the three began to spar with one another to get used to working together. Yugao sat back offering advice when her team needed it. She felt confident that her team would be ready for the exams even if the third member is quite new. She saw how Naruto and Haku were quickly integrating Koji quite quickly. Yes, they would most likely be ready and she'd make sure of it. She had picked Koji since after looking through all the genin that didn't have a team he seemed to fit the best, and after talking to him he had no animosity towards Naruto. And wasn't one to be too nosy. Yugao had told him that his two other teammates had extensive training beforehand and he took it as face value, not questioning it. So Yugao had her team train every day after missions, making sure they had a good solid base of teamwork, which she pushed greatly on them. She wanted them to be very familiar with one another and be able to work together as a cohesive unit. Even though they hadn't been a team for very long. Scene break. Weeks later, Yugao was called for a meeting. She left her team to keep working since she knew they'd obey her. She got to the Hokage office. So you're all her. Wait, where's Kakashi? Hiruzen asked. There was sighs and then the door opened and Kakashi came in. Yo. Sorry I am late. But on the way here I thought I spotted a suspicious character carrying a package that was ticking. I followed him till I found out he was just a delivery man and he was carrying a package full of clocks, Kakashi said. Everyone's sweat dropped hearing this lame excuse. Anyway, you all know why you're here. The Chunin exams are upon us once again. Now it is time for those Junin instructor who wish to nominate their teams to step forward, Hiruzen said. Yosh. I might nominate my team, Team 9 for the Chunin exams. They will show everyone their great burning flames of youth. The exuberant green spandex wearing Junin announced. The rest of the Junin stepped back as Guy shouted. They covered their ears as well since Guy was quite loud. I see. Anyone else? Hiruzen asked, letting the ringing in his ears dissipate. I Kurenai Yuhi nominate my team, Team 8 for the Chunin exams, a long black-haired red-eyed woman said, stepping forward. There were murmurs on this since Kurenai's team was a fresh team. I assume a Sarutobi nominate my team, Team 10 for the Chunin exams, a beard-wearing Junin said. More murmurs since another fresh team had been nominated. I Kakashi Hatake nominate my team, Team 7 for the Chunin exams, the one-eyed reading Junin said. Again more murmurs. Yugao sighed then nominated her team. This shocked many since Yugao's team was the most green since they just gotten a third teammate recently. Are you sure about your choice, Yugao? Hiruzen asked. I am Lord Hokage. I have great faith in my team. I know they'll do well in the exams, Yugao said with utter confidence. Okay. Anyone else? Hiruzen asked. Scene break. Naruto, Haku and Koji were resting under a tree resting. They were chatting, trying to create new strategies that they could use together. This is where Yugao found them. She smiled and walked over. Here are your forms for the Chunin exams. Fill them out and then report to room 301 at the academy, she said. Are you sure we're ready, sensei? Haku asked. I am Haku. I wouldn't have nominated you if I didn't have faith in you all. Even you, Koji. I've seen how you all work together and know you'll do well, Yugao said. This gave the three genin a great boost in confidence since their sensei said she believed in them. This also made them all look at each other and they made a single promise to one another. They'd work hard and wouldn't let the other down, or Yugao either. Yugao saw this and knew this was a team, even if they hadn't been together for very long. She left them after giving them a few final words. Scene break. Team 11 trained together as much as they could, but then gave themselves a day off. They wanted to be fresh for the exams, which were a few days away. Yugao was there most days to give them advice on what they were doing and even trained with them playing the enemy. She played that part to push them harder to work as a team by trying to divide them. Naruto and Haku were walking down the street when 3 blurs went past them, then followed by a bigger pink blur. Was that Sakura? Haku asked. Yeah, and she was chasing after Konohamaru and his friends. Come on, let's go rescue them before Sakura makes them go deaf, Naruto said, giving chase. Haku nodded and followed Naruto. Naruto of course knew Konohamaru since he met him before his transformation. He told Haku and Tenten about Konohamaru. The two caught up and saw Asuna Nin holding Konohamaru by his shirt. Hey, what do you think you're doing? Sakura shouted. Lousy snot-nosed leaf brats, the Suna Nin muttered. Haku, Naruto said. Haku just nodded then disappeared. The Suna Nin blinked in surprise as Konohamaru disappeared from his grasp and now holding a rag doll. What the? He said. You know, you'd get in a lot of trouble trying to hurt the Hokage's grandson, Naruto said. This had everyone turn to Naruto where Haku had returned with Konohamaru. Konohamaru's 2 friends raced to him making sure he was alright. Sakura was just as shocked seeing this all since she didn't know Naruto and Haku had followed her. Naruto. Naruto turned and blinked. He saw Tamari there and he smiled. Hey there Tamari, nice to see you, he said. Tamari smiled right back. Nice to see you too Naruto. Haku, she said. Hey sis, how do you know these two? The Suna Nin asked. That's none of your business Kankuro, Tamari said, then she lifted her fan and bashed it over Kankuro's head. Hey, what was that for? Kankuro asked. For almost causing an international incident, you idiot, Tamari growled. She then placed her fan back in place behind her back and walked over to Naruto and Haku. Once there she hugged Naruto then Haku. The two returned the hugs. Say Tamari, can you tell your brother to get out of the tree? Naruto asked. Soon a swirl of sand appeared and a boy with short red hair and black rings under his eyes came out of the sand. Who are you? He asked in a monotone voice. My name is Naruto Uzumaki, raccoon boy, Naruto said. Naruto could sense the Biju in the redhead. Just another ability that Kitsune and Sophia gave him. He had sensed the Nibi in Yugito when he was in Kumo, but said nothing about it at the time. This made Kankuro gasp and Tamari wince slightly on instinct. She had told Naruto and the other girls about her brother's condition while in Naruto's mind. The redhead looked at Naruto with those emotionless eyes. Tamari, Kankuro were needed by sensei, the redhead said. What's your name? Naruto called out. My name is Gaara, mother wants your blood, Gaara said. You can tell Ms. Raccoon that if she wants my blood then she's be out of luck, Naruto said. Gaara's face remained emotionless, but sand came out and attacked Naruto. Haku moved to protect Naruto, but Naruto stopped her. He glared right at Gaara, releasing some of Kyuubi's ki at Gaara. With Naruto's training he had learned to harness some of Kyuubi's power. He didn't have total control since the Kyuubi didn't have it all and told Naruto such. The Kyuubi only had half of his full power. Gaara gasped and the sand stopped. Gaara stumbled back holding his head. Tell number 1 to behave himself while she's in my village or else, Naruto growled out. Gaara looked up still grasping his head. He nodded shakily and then left with a swirl of sand. This left Kankuro and Tamari. Kankuro go, tell Baki sensei that I'll be there in a moment, Tamari said. Kankuro looked ready to argue, but Tamari moved her hand to her fan to stop anything Kankuro was going to say. He nodded and left sulking. I didn't think to expect the both of you. I knew of Tenten and Naruto being in Konoha, but not you Haku, Tamari said. Yeah, that's a story. We should all get together and talk, Naruto said. Tamari nodded and they all made an arrangement to meet and then Tamari left. Konohamaru and his 2 friends dashed off as soon as everything was clear. Up in the tree Sasuke sat. His eyes narrowed. He was very interested in this Gaara. He had ignored everything else going on as he focused on Gaara. He is strong, I will fight him and beat him. Then I'll be one step closer in killing my brother, the Uchiha thought. Sakura stood there completely confused as to what had just happened. Scene break. Later, on top of the Hokage monument Haku, Naruto and Tenten waited for Temari. She arrived and there were more hugs all around. They then sat down and chatted and caught everyone up with what they've been doing. Unbelievable, really. Who'd have guessed you'd meet Haku on your first mission out of the village? Temari asked aloud. Only Sophia, Naruto said as he looked up at the heavens. Yeah, so you met Samui in Kumo and now Temari. All that is missing is Kuretsuchi. You suppose we'll meet her in the exams? Tenten asked. Don't know, maybe, Haku said with a shrug. Well, Samui said she and her team will most likely come, Naruto said. This is going to be a very interesting Chunin exams, Haku said. Yeah, interesting, Temari said with hesitancy. Naruto, Tenten and Haku noticed this. Is something up, Temari? Tenten asked. Temari debated with herself if she tell the other about the planned invasion or not. In the end, she couldn't lie to her friends. So she told them. Naruto, Tenten, and Haku were shocked to hear Suna was planning to invade Konoha during the finals and that this new village called Sound was helping. We got to do something, Naruto said. But what, Naruto? What can we do? Temari asked. I am not sure. I am not even sure if I should tell the old man. I know I should, but I am not sure who I can trust since there are spies everywhere in this village it seems, Naruto said with a frown. The three girls nodded. But I guess it's my duty as a Konoha shinobi to report this. Want to come with me, Temari? I am sure the old man would like to hear this coming from you, Naruto asked. I am not sure. I should be getting back to my team so they won't get suspicious, Temari said. I guess. Hey, you want me to fix your brother's seal while I am at it? He'll no longer be crazy anymore, Naruto offered. Temari responded by hugging Naruto. I think that means yes, Tenten said with a grin. Haku just smiled as she nodded. Scene break. After reporting to Hiruzen about the invasion, Naruto and his girls left. Hiruzen sat back thinking hard. He knew this was quite serious. He'd have to keep this a secret since he had a big suspicion that there were spies in his own village. He sighed. He needed to figure out a plan to counter this invasion and to keep it a secret too. That meant only a chosen few of his most trusted shinobi could be told and no one else. Oh, how you've fallen, my old student, he thought as he looked out the window sadly. Scene break. Next day, Naruto was waiting. He was leaning against a tree. Haku and Tenten were with him. Soon Gaara appeared with Temari. Temari looked nervous. What do you want with me, Uzumaki? Gaara asked in a monotone voice. I want to help you, Gaara. Since we're both alike, Naruto said. Gaara just stood there. How can I trust you? He asked. You'll just have to, Naruto said. And if I refuse? Gaara asked. I can just make you submit with my Cantainer's power. 9 is more powerful than 1, as you know, Naruto said with a smirk. Gaara's sand stirred and reacted, but didn't move to attack Naruto. Naruto, are you sure about this? Tenten asked hesitantly. Yeah, I am, Naruto said. Without warning, Naruto released some of Kyuubi's chakra. It sprang forth and captured Gaara. Temari gasped, but before she could react, she was engulfed by the red chakra. Tenten and Haku too were enveloped. Scene break. Deep in Gaara's mind, Temari, Naruto, Tenten, and Haku stood. There they stood and Gaara was cowering. In a mangled cage was a raccoon-looking beast that was made of sand. He had one huge tail. Who are you and how dare you enter my realm? The beast roared. Kyuubi appeared wearing the same kimono and red hair tied in a ponytail. Something's wrong. It appears a maniac soul is attached to Shukaku, Kyuubi said. What can we do? Haku asked. My lady, can you do anything? Kyuubi asked. Sigh. No, I have no control over the dead. I can let Damon know about it though, Sophia said. Damon. Tamari asked. Yes, Damon is the Shinigami, Sophia said. Look kids, I'll bind Shukaku. He won't be able to move. I need you three to do something, anything, Kyuubi said. Like what? Tenten asked. Just do something, Kyuubi said. He then unleashed his tails and wrapped Shukaku up. Damn you Kurama. When I get out of this I'll tear you limb from limb. Shukaku shouted. Put a sock in it Shukaku. You were always full of hot air, Kyuubi said. Naruto, Tenten, Haku and Tamari moved forward. Haku, stay out here and keep an eye on things and warn us if anything happens. We'll be back, Naruto said. Haku stopped. She wasn't happy with the plan, but followed. Naruto, Tenten and Tamari moved forward and found the seals that bound the mad soul to Shukaku. Okay, now what? Tenten asked. Well, maybe this will work, Naruto said. Before either girl could ask what, Naruto ripped the seal off. Shukaku roared like someone had torn a huge band-aid off. He then began to calm. Naruto held the soul not sure what to do till he felt a light airy touch. Let me have that Naruto, I shall give it to Damon, Sophia said. Naruto handed the seal over to Sophia and it disappeared. Kyuubi removed his tails around a now relaxed Shukaku. What the hell happened? Kurama, what are you doing here? Shukaku asked with confusion. Kyuubi took Shukaku, who had changed from his beast form to a man like Kyuubi, but with short sandy blonde, brown hair and his kimono was decorated with dancing raccoons. We've got a lot to talk about my friend, he said. Tamari rushed over to Gaara, who was still huddled in a ball. Gaara, she said as she held on to her brother. Tamari. Gaara asked looking up. Oh Gaara, Tamari said crying as she hugged her brother with tears in her eyes. Naruto, Tenten and Haku stood to the side watching. Naruto, don't ever do something like that again, Tenten berating the blonde. Sorry, I wasn't really thinking, Naruto said as he scratched the back of his head. I think we'll chalk this up to Naruto having a blonde moment, Haku said with a bit of a smirk. Naruto pouted at this. The three watched as Tamari and Gaara connected. Looks like our work is done, Naruto said smiling as he saw a family reunite. Gaara and Tamari create a brother-sister relationship that hadn't been there before. They bonded and became fairly close within Gaara's mind. Meanwhile Kyuubi and Shukaku were talking. Kyuubi telling Shukaku all that was going on and Shukaku wanting in. He along with Kyuubi and the other 7 chakra beasts only had one master, mother. That was God, Sophia. He agreed to watch over Gaara vowing to do the same since Tamari is his sister as well as Gaara's other brother Kankuro too. So what you're saying is this kid, Naruto, was picked by our mother since he has a special destiny? Shukaku asked. That about sums it up, Kyuubi said. I'd say you're full of shit Kurama, but seeing mother here I know she'd never lie about something like this, Shukaku said. Sophia just smiled. Shukaku also promised Gaara to not mess with his mind anymore and to help Gaara in the future. Naruto, Tenten, and Haku talked to Gaara and got to know him as well and a friendship was born. Naruto and Gaara became fast best friends with each other. So that spirit attached to Shukaku was the reason he was batshit crazy. Tenten asked. I guess, it must have been one crazy spirit, Naruto said. It was still very stupid of you to do what you did to get rid of it, Haku said scowling at Naruto. Naruto ducked his head knowing he'd never live this down. They then left Gaara's mind and returned to the real world. Gaara thanked Naruto for his help and he thanked Tenten and Haku too. He also gained 3 new friends too as they also became friends too in Gaara's mind. Thankfully the trip into Gaara's mind didn't take too much time in the realm world. Scene break. Naruto took a deep breath. Today was the day of the Chunin exams. He felt good as he went about his daily morning routine. He had breakfast and was joined by Tenten and Haku, who came over. The 3 rotated places to eat breakfast when all 3 were in the village. You ready Tenten? Naruto asked. I am Naruto, how about you and you, Haku? Tenten asked. I am a bit nervous, but I am ready, Haku said. I am so ready, Naruto said, pumped up. Haku and Tenten smiled since Naruto's energy was infectious and they got the bug too. After they finished, they cleaned their dishes and then headed out to meet their teams. They wished each other good luck before parting ways to meet their respective teams. Naruto and Haku found Koji waiting for them. Hey Koji, ready? Naruto asked. As ready as I'll ever be. Shall we go? Koji asked. Yes, let's, Haku said. Scene break. Team 11 made it to the academy and then headed up. They found a crowd of genin trying to seek entrance into the exams, but were blocked by two shinobi who were blocking the entrance. Naruto and Haku saw Tenten there along with her team. Koji whispered to them about the genjutsu and they were about to just go forward when an arrogant voice broke in. You can drop the genjutsu, it's pathetic. Naruto saw who it was and groaned. Who is that? Koji asked. That's Sasuke Uchiha, Haku said. Ah, so he's the one Naruto claims to have the biggest, rustiest kunai shoved up his rear, Koji said. Yeah, that's him and he just had to do this, Naruto sighed. Come on, let's go up, Haku said. Koji nodded and he followed Haku and Naruto. They made it and found Yugao there. She explained to them after they asked why she was there that she was there to see if the entire team was there. Since you could only take the Chunin exam with your full team, you couldn't enter without your full team. She then wished them luck and allowed them to pass. Inside, Naruto saw the Suna team and he nodded to Gaara and Temari and they nodded back. His eyes scanned and found Samui's team there. Samui caught his eye and they nodded to each other in greeting. Naruto finally saw Kuretsuchi and was surprised, but happy to see her and her team. He gently nudged Haku and gestured to her and she saw Kuretsuchi. Koji didn't see this byplay at all. Hey, what are you doing here, loser, and who are they? Naruto turned to see Kiba and his team. I'm here to take the exams, dog food breath, and this is my team, Naruto said. Team? I thought your team was Sasuke and Sakura. Shino asked. It was, but then things got changed around and I got a different sensei and teammates, Naruto said. Shino just nodded. Hinata nervously waved at Naruto. There was a shriek and some screaming and Team 11 turned to see Team 7 enter. Ino was all over Sasuke with Sakura shouting at Ino. Naruto rolled his eyes then turned back. Hey Shika. Choji, he greeted. Ino's so troublesome, Shikamaru mumbled then nodded in greeting to Naruto. Choji waved as he munched away on his bag of chips. You're all making quite a racket, a boy with glasses said. And who are you? Haku asked. My name is Kabuto, and I have some experience in these exams. I have taken them a few times, the boy said. How many times have you gone through the exams? Sakura asked. 7 times, Kabuto said. Man, you must really suck, Kiba said. Naruto though frowned. Something didn't feel right and he nudged Haku and she caught his eye and nodded. She was suspicious too. Kabuto then showed off the cards he has made after scooping out the competition. Sasuke looked eager and stared at the cards like they were T-bone steaks. I want information on Naruto Uzumaki and Gaara, Sasuke demanded. Naruto frowned as he wondered how Sasuke knew about Gaara, but shrugged it off since it wasn't important. He didn't really sense Sasuke up in the tree since Gaara's chakra overshadowed Sasuke greatly. Kabuto showed off Gaara's card. He then was about to show off Naruto's when a blob of lava destroyed the card. Many jumped away in shock and fear. Sakura and Ino actually squealed. Naruto and Haku knew who it was and looked to see Kuretsuchi grinning at them. The two mouthed a, "Thank you," to her and she nodded and turned away. Soon the beginning of the Chunin exams began. Scene break. The first part of the exam, a written test. Naruto grumbled about this since though he was a lot smarter now than before he still didn't care for written tests at all. But he got through it even though he didn't even know half of the answers. The test got harder when the proctor put the pressure on making several teams break and leave the room since the proctor made it that if you failed to answer a final question you'd never become a Chunin. Several teams left after cracking. When no other teams left, the proctor passed the remaining teams. But then after the test, a kunoichi crashed through the window. Her name was Anko Mitarashi, and Naruto just knew this woman was super crazy. She told them to go to training ground 44. After that, she jumped out another window, breaking another pane of glass in the process. So the remaining teams headed out and made it to training ground 44. Welcome to training ground 44, or the Forest of Death as we Konoha-nin like to call it, Anko said as she bared a crazy smile. The sounds of wild beasts roared inside the fence. Anko then explained what the second part of the exam was. It was basically a survival test where you gather 2 scrolls and make your way to the tower in the center of the forest with both scrolls. Each team would start with 1 scroll and they'd need to get the other. They'd have to fight the other teams, not knowing if that team would have the scroll they needed. This would weed out teams, and those teams that made it to the center of the tower with both of their scrolls would pass to the 3rd round. After signing waivers so Konoha wouldn't be held responsible if any foreign teams died in the forest. This of course made some of the remaining teams uneasy. Naruto got the scroll and found it was an Earth one. So that meant they'd need a Heaven one. He gave it to Koji to hold on. They then found a gate and awaited for the second test to begin. A loud buzz was heard. Let the second part of the Chunin exams begin. Anko announced over loudspeakers. Scene break. Naruto, Haku and Koji raced through the forest, then they stopped at what looked to be a safe place. They huddled together to strategize. So what's the plan? Koji asked. We have 2 options really. Go looking for a team and hope they have the scroll we need, or we can play the prey for another team, Haku said. I like the first one better, Naruto said. Haku rolled her eyes. She knew Naruto would rather play the hunter than the hunted. We must decide fast. I sense a team heading towards us, Koji said. Haku, get into one of your ice mirrors. Koji, use genjutsu and hide yourself. I'll hinge into a rock, Naruto commanded. Haku and Koji followed Naruto's orders. A team from Waterfall came by. There was a team here, I know it, a member said. You must have been imagining it. Your sense of direction sucks, the 3rd member said. Shut it, Kozu, the 2nd member said. I am speaking the truth, Bazu. You don't have to be so pissy about it, Kozu said. I said shut it, Bazu said. Enough, you two. Do you want everyone to know where we are? The 3rd member and apparently the leader of the team said sternly. The waterfall team made it closer to inspect the area. As soon as they were close enough, Naruto gave the signal and the waterfall team was ambushed. Haku came out of her ice mirror hurling Senbon at her target. Koji dispelled his genjutsu and attacked his target, and Naruto undid his rock henge and attacked his target. The waterfall team was caught off guard, but put up a fight. They lost in the end though, and when they were down for the count they were searched for their scroll. Koji was the one who found the scroll. What luck, it's the one we needed, he said as he showed of the heaven scroll to his team. Great. Then let's get to the tower, Naruto said. Haku and Koji nodded. Scene break. Team 11 moved with speed through the trees heading to the tower. They had to rest for spells, but they were making good time. All that training they did really build up their stamina and strength. We're getting close, Haku said. Soon a sudden huge gust of wind kicked up from out of nowhere. Naruto was in between tree branches when the wind got kicked up and he flew away. Naruto! Haku shouted, and she released the chakra she had locked to the tree to go after her mate. Shit! Koji muttered as the wind died down quickly. Scene break. Naruto groaned as he awoke. He got up and found himself alone. Haku! Koji, he called out. A rustling was heard and then a huge snake burst through the greenery. This is so not my day, Naruto muttered, then leapt away from the lunging snake. He then went on the offensive, but the snake, even though it was big, was quite nimble. Come on, stay still, the blonde muttered. The snake then lunged and ate Naruto whole. Haku, who had been looking for Naruto, saw it and screamed as she charged at the cold-blooded monster that ate her mate. She began to glow. Scene break. Elsewhere in the forest, Samui, Kuretsuchi, Tenten and Tamari gasped as they glowed then disappeared from their teams. Scene break. The four girls appeared in front of a big snake. What the heck? Kuretsuchi asked. That snake ate Naruto. Haku shouted angrily. This enraged the other four girls and they got to work with Haku. Tamari swung her fan releasing deadly wind jutsus. Tenten's barrage of flying deadly steel was aided by these winds by increasing their deadly speed as they flew to their target. Samui fired off some powerful lightning jutsu and Kuretsuchi shot off balls of molten lava. Haku flung sharp deadly ice shards. The snake didn't stand a chance against the onslaught and quickly killed. Its last thought was he was in deep, deep shit. The mutilated corpse of the snake stayed there. Then it started to move and the five girls got ready to fight. But they didn't have to as Naruto appeared covered in slime, blood and other stuff. This made the girls sigh in relief that their Naruto was alive still. Yuck! The blonde exclaimed as he tried to clean himself off. Naruto! The five girls shouted and raced to their mate not caring if they got slime on them. As they all hugged one another a bright light engulfed them. Scene break. Congratulations, you're all together now. This had the group look and they saw Sophia looking at them with a smile. Sophia, Naruto said. Hello Naruto, and his angels, Sophia said. Where are we? Haku asked. Just a plane between worlds. Only place where I can be without causing too much ruckus, Sophia said. Okay, but why are we here? Tamari asked. You're all together and that means the bond is now final. Your minds will be linked together and if one of you are in trouble you can call one or all of you for help no matter where you are, Sophia said. Connect our minds, you mean they'll know everything that I am thinking? Naruto asked. Sophia nodded. Naruto gulped. He wasn't too sure of this since some of his thoughts weren't, well, pure when it came to his girls. His cheeks were bright red. Oh, Naruto's thinking dirty thoughts of us, Tenten giggled. Waha, no, of course not. Never, Naruto said shaking his head vehemently though his face was the color of a nice ripe tomato. So you don't find us attractive then? Samui asked with a playful smirk on her lips. No, you're all very attractive, Naruto said as his face just got redder. So that means you're thinking dirty thoughts of us, Kuretsuchi said a smirk. Yes, I mean no. I mean, oh god, Naruto groaned as he held his head. His face was so red that he was sure his face would melt off. The five girls all had a good laugh at this, so did the deity. Now, with your minds linked it doesn't mean you have full access. You do have the right to keep things private if need be. Like thinking dirty thoughts, Sophia said with a smirk as Naruto groaned. Naruto and his angels felt something touch their minds, like a link of some kind was connecting all of their brains together. Like an invisible highway that connected all of them. It was new and very different. There, now I shall return you to where you were before, Sophia said. In a bright white flash they all disappeared. Scene break. Naruto and Haku were standing there with Naruto completely clean of snake slime. The other girls were back with their teams before they were summoned. Did that actually happen? Haku asked. I have no clue, Naruto said. If it did then we all had another weird dream together, Tenten said. Tenten, we can hear you, but where are you? Haku asked looking around. I'm back with my team, it seems like nothing changed. My team didn't even notice my absence, Tenten said. Same with me, Tamari said. Same, Samui said. Ditto, Kuretsuchi said. Whoa, this must be the link Sophia told us about, Naruto said. This going to take some getting used to, Samui said. There was general agreement on this. Scene break. So Haku and Naruto headed to find Koji. They talked to the others through their minds and figured out what they could do with these links. They could feel each other's emotions, read each other's thoughts, everything really. Except for those thoughts and feelings they barred off. It took some time to figure that part out though. They also knew that it will take a while for them to get comfortable with this new wrinkle in their lives. Naruto, Haku, thank goodness you're alright, Koji said with great relief at finding his team. Yeah, are you alright too, Koji? Haku asked. I am fine, but what happened? Koji asked. We ran into a very big unfriendly snake, Naruto said. I see, then let's get out of here before we run into anything else, Koji said. Don't have to tell me twice, Haku said. They then headed off when Koji sensed something else and stopped. What is it, Koji? Another team? Haku asked as she pulled some Senbon. No, I feel a foul chakra. It's coming from over there, Koji said. We better check it out, Naruto said. They headed off following Koji. They found not only Team 7, but Team 10 too. Team 9 was there too. Plus another team which appeared to be the adversary. Naruto and Haku saw Tenten in the trees with Neji. Lee was on the ground and appeared to be injured. On the floor they found Sasuke covered with a dark aura. He was pulling a sound nin's arms out of their sockets. The foul aura is coming from the Uchiha. It seems to be centered on his neck there, Koji said. Naruto looked closer and saw a mark on Sasuke's neck and knew something wasn't right. Better stop him before it gets out of control, he said, then raced in. Haku tried to stop him, but it was too late. She sighed and followed with Koji right behind her. Sasuke, that's enough. Let him go, Naruto ordered. Sasuke let go of the sound nin's now dislocated arms and looked at Naruto with a psychotic look. Naruto could see that Sasuke had the Sharingan and wondered when Sasuke got that, since the last time he saw the Uchiha he didn't have those eyes. Sasuke's Sharingan awoke when he was marked. This power, I must test this power. You're first, loser, Sasuke said as he raced towards Naruto. The Genin minus Tenten and Haku were shocked when Naruto easily sidestepped Sasuke's charge. I don't want to fight you, Sasuke, Naruto said calmly. You have no choice. I will test this power, Sasuke said in a crazy way. Sasuke then proceeded to deliver an onslaught of attacks on Naruto, who just dodged each one with ease. Stay still so I can hit you, Sasuke screamed in anger. Naruto glanced at Haku and she pulled out some Senbon needles and with pinpoint accuracy she threw the needles and they hit Sasuke in the neck, making him drop like a rock. Sasuke, Sakura screamed. He's unconscious, not dead, Haku said, rubbing her abused ears. Sakura cradled Sasuke's limp body, crying like he was dead. Ino stood by looking sad, but heard what Haku said, so she wasn't too worried. She knew that Sasuke was quite dangerous in whatever state he was in. What happened here? Naruto asked. Mocha slowly got up, but you could see he was badly hurt. Haku rushed over and began to look him over medically. I don't remember a whole lot, but we were attacked by a grass nin that was just a disguise. It turned out to be Orochimaru. We were all beaten badly. He then bit Sasuke on the neck, Mocha said. What happened after that, Haruno? Naruto asked. Sakura just hugged Sasuke's body, crying. Damn it, Haruno, what the hell happened? Naruto ordered. Who made you in charge, loser? Sakura asked. Naruto was angry and it was taking his angel's voices telling him to calm down that prevented Sakura from getting a beat down. He wasn't in the mood for this shit at all. He was quite worried about that mark on Sasuke's neck. Just answer the question, Pinky, Tenten said as she jumped down from the tree she was in. Neji followed and went over to his fallen teammate. So Sakura finally told them how she got both Mocha and Sasuke to safety and then set traps to protect them. How she tried to fight off the Sound team, but failed and was saved by Lee, and then how Team 10 came in to help her. Okay, let's see this thing on Sasuke's neck, Naruto said. What makes you think I'll let you? Sakura said as she protected Sasuke's body. Because I am the only one here that knows anything about Fuinjutsu. So let me see, or I'll just do it, Naruto said with a bit of a snarl. Sakura didn't move and Naruto moved to push Sakura away, but Ino moved quicker. Come on, forehead, let Naruto look. He's only trying to help, the long-haired blonde said. Naruto was a bit startled by the way Ino was acting, but he pushed that aside and looked at Sasuke's neck and the seal. He frowned since this was a complex seal he was looking at. But Naruto analyzed it quickly and then brought out his Fuinjutsu kit. Tenten, come here. I need your help with this, Naruto called out. Tenten nodded and knelt by Naruto and they began to discuss the seal. Haku had did her final check on Mocha. You're lucky to be alive. I healed what I could, but I'm not sure if it's enough. You'll need to get checked out by the medic Nin when you get to the tower, Haku said. Thanks you helped a lot, Mocha said. Haku just smiled then went to see if anyone else needed help. Naruto and Tenten were huddled together whispering to one another on things that would be way over the rest of the genins' heads. They were trying to find a way to deal with the seal on Sasuke even though they didn't know exactly what they were dealing with. They then got to work drawing something on Sasuke's neck over the seal and then used chakra to activate the new seal. They got up both looking pleased with their work. Found an answer? Haku asked. Yeah, we figured out a way to block the seal though we aren't totally sure if it will work since this seal we're dealing with is totally unknown to us. We'll need to research it more, Tenten said. Haku nodded. She didn't know as much about Fuinjutsu as Naruto and Tenten, but she knew enough to trust them. Naruto then turned to the down sound team. You're outnumbered, so give up your scroll and you can go free, he said. The sound team looked at each other then decided. They tossed the scroll on the ground and left though they left their female teammate behind. Aren't you forgetting someone? Haku asked. She's a disgrace. Then they left. Naruto frowned at this and walked to the down sound Kunoichi. She looked down knowing what her fate was. Do you want to leave sound? He asked. The Kunoichi looked up at Naruto with a twinge of hope. She nodded slowly. This made Naruto sigh then nod. What's your name? He asked. Kin Suchi, the Kunoichi said. Okay. Then I Naruto Uzumaki of the Uzumaki clan claim Kin Suchi as a spoil, Naruto said. Kin bowed her head knowing this was the only way she'd be saved. Now she was Naruto's servant. Naruto, are you sure about this? Temari asked. Yeah, why'd you do it? Kuratsuchi asked. I don't know, but why? It just felt right, Naruto said. His girls just sighed and shook their heads. Naruto idiot, what do you think you're doing? Sakura shouted. It's none of your business Haruno, Naruto said coolly. Sakura looked steamed and ready to bite back with a shout, but Ino stopped her. Ino knew something was very different. Sure, she was a fangirl and not a very good kunoichi, but she was still a clan heiress and she sensed something. Her father had taught her well even though she acted like she wasn't listening to his lessons. She knew something was very different about Naruto. He wasn't the idiot she knew back in the academy. Something changed and a part of her wanted to know what happened to cause this change. Scene break. Team 11 with Kin arrived at the tower and Naruto wanted to see the old man quickly so Yugao led them to Hiruzen's temporary office he used while he was in the tower. Naruto told Hiruzen all that had happened with the sound team and what he got from Team 7. Another piece of the puzzle. Orochimaru, you were always a very ambitious one that I know and always loved to plan big. To place that dreaded seal on Sasuke as well as planning to invade Konoha with his own village in Suna. It's classic Orochimaru, Hiruzen said with a sigh and shake of his head. What are we going to do, sir? Yugao asked. I need to keep this plan secret since there are spies all over the village. One of them is this Kabuto, Hiruzen said. What can I do? Naruto asked. Just continue on with the Chunin exams and let me handle this, Naruto. You shouldn't worry about this, Hiruzen said giving the blonde a grandfatherly smile. Naruto frowned, but nodded since he knew there wasn't much he could do. But on to her, Hiruzen said turning to Kin. I claimed her as a spoil old man. Under the Konoha charter she's under my protection, Naruto said firmly. So you've been reading up on all the laws of Konoha I see, Hiruzen said. Well, my shadow clones have been, Naruto said as he rubbed the back of his head. Very well. I'll make an announcement about the Uzumaki clan after the exams are over, but I'll honor your rights of claiming Kin as a spoil, Hiruzen said. Thanks, old man, Naruto said. Kinseiden was a bit relieved that she'd be staying with Naruto. She wasn't sure why, but she was glad.